Welcome, everybody. Welcome to 2024 Season 2 Grand Finals of ProBots. I'm your host and producer, Drekken, and I am always excited here to welcome you. It feels like you guys have ever watched the movie The Hunger Games? I'm sure you, of course. It's like that. I get to be, what's her name? The woman. So welcome to the 20th Finals of ProBots. Yes, we've had 20 finals, 20 long finals, and this one is no exception. Every season I say the same thing, and this one will be the best grand finals to date, because it will factually be so. And as always, we get together and we get to have and see which bot is crowned the best of the best. And the other one, the fate is sent to the scrap pile. But before that, we have our exhibitions of humanity versus the best of the AI. Will you bring about John Connor's worst nightmare, or will we go into another regular day? Let's find out with our cast on the desk. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Listen, you don't sound as excited to protect humanity.
Yeah,
as I
well,
am.
now it's more important now than ever, because as of 2 days ago, according to official Terminator lore, Skynet became sentient.
Are you shitting me? Is that true?
Yeah.
Is that true?
August 2024.
Yeah, August
No!
29th, 2024 is the day that Skynet became self-aware.
I don't believe you. I have to look this up myself. Skynet self-awareness.
Yeah, that's the day.
Oh my gosh, he is correct.
I guess that makes sense of when they released the anime.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense now.
Yeah, it released the anime.
It released the anime.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, everybody, today is the day where we find out if Skynet has finally reached its tentacles into Xena and Aerys, and the rest of you are all doomed. Either which way, we'll find out if humanity's greatest heroes came together and assembled as they should against the bot onslaught. So, as always, why don't we? Well, actually, we don't have a rectangle for this. So, Anderson, you have to wing it. Can you explain to us? No, there's no rectangle for this specifically.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, this is the final rectangle if you think about it, but I guess this is the human rectangle trying to stem the tide against an increasingly large rectangle created by AI that assimilates all of our previous rectangles and learns from them. So basically what we've got is a 5-on-5 AI versus human representatives ProBot thing. So we're going to have each of the bots play against one representative from the human race of varying levels of skill. And we're going to pick that off, I believe, with Tier at the lowest skill that we have available. He's listed himself as bronze. I don't know if that's true or not.
He said unranked, and I don't know if we had unranked available. So
there's a big difference between unranked and bronze. I'm unranked right now.
Is that is there like, what's the technical difference? I mean,
I think you have to, at this point in the game, you have to try and be bronze, because like if you
not hard.
Yeah, because I think you have to, like, you would have to open like a new account and intentionally lose like 100 games to get yourself to bronze. Like, yeah, I think.
Is the default silver then? I'm like, is that?
I think by default it's going to stick you somewhere in gold, and then you're going to have to lose pretty badly to go.
Really?
Because I know I've done that on people's like trying to do Smurf accounts, and so they lose their 5 placement matches and it still sticks them like in gold somewhere, because it's like not enough to decline to the bronze level. But we'll see what ladder rank we think it is. But yeah, I think if someone's been around the game for as long as Tier has, then you're probably just by osmosis going to be at least a gold player. We'll see.
Well, we can give him an honorary gold. Like, I feel like we have that power here.
We'll
to
judge.
Say.
We'll do we'll do like Roddy's game on YouTube of like the guest league sort of thing again.
Like is bronze or not or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I think they try and nail. He'll play against like another caster or pro player, and then they watch a game without like labels on it, and then they try and guess the league that game is.
Yeah, okay.
And then
well,
they get points.
Hearthstone thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh
it's
yeah,
hard.
sorry, Hearthstone, not Roddy.
Yeah.
I think he's had Roddy play it, but yeah, you're sorry, it's a Hearthstone thing.
So yeah, and we are also doing what's called Pro League. I don't know what the official style call. I always call it Pro League style, but there probably is an official match style that reference this. And
Yeah, I think it is. It's Pro League without the ace match, kind of.
yeah,
Yeah,
so humans versus probots is always a warm and welcome tradition to see what bots and Ketrock. And this came up. Your bot is not in here, and some people have called you out for why your bot's not here and BenBot is in here. So maybe you can explain to us why your bot's not here.
We needed an update on the Java API. BenBots, I think, because he doesn't use some of the changes in the recent patches, it doesn't really matter for him. Like, I don't think he uses a bunch of Cyclone play, for instance. But my human versus human play is very much based on the Cyclone, because I feel like that's the key to beating humans, is insane Cyclone micro. Yeah.
So you guys need to know is that you've been spared the Ketrock onslaught because of an API. When the final judgment day comes, Ketrock was absent. I want you to know. Make it be written in the history books. Ketrock was not there when Isildur went to put the ring in the fire. So
I also had a cool idea with a lot of micro around drop play and repairing SCVs involved inside the drop, but I never finished up that code anyway, so would not have been ready for the humans. But it was also a versus humans tactic I wanted to try. Next season.
I wonder if we could do that. You just like the idea of what Endersword had said, like guess the rank. Could we do that like one day with the bots? But like guess. I always want to do human or bot or not, but you can't do that because they give it away so easily. But like you know, if there was like a guess what level this bot is or AI or not.
The really weird part, like whenever you're trying to like play kind of guess the rank with a human, one of the big things you lean on is the macro mechanics that they have. But the macro mechanics of the bots are perfect. And then the decision making is sometimes wonky. So it would be weird. But I mean, people always ask that, like, what rank do these? And that's kind of, I think, the best metric to figure out what the rank is just have it play people of different ranks and then figure out where it's successful or not. But because going by the play, the APM, the control, the macro, it's hard to tell because it will do all that, like certain things perfectly, and then it can't move up a ramp.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like we could totally do like a segment here on ProBots where we're able to score them on their abilities, like how human are they versus because like they won't have. Obviously, you're right. Their micro and their ability to macro could actually be incredibly perfect, but their ability to engage is where you're going to be judging. And we can all have like a score point of 10, 10, or 10, of how human or non-human they are.
I always thought that was something interesting about what Alpha Star was trying to do, that it was trying to come up with an AI that still played within human constraints, but then it simply learned very quickly to game what that meant. So you had to like tap what the APM was but the only way to do that is like through an average. So it clearly learned to quickly game the average to be like, I'm gonna do less than necessary and then do insane spikes into things that don't actually increase the average above the rate that I'm supposed to, but it's still inhuman.
That kind of exists in the API too. Like, we don't use it with our bots, but if you wanted to hurt yourself, you could
there is
well, not specifically what Enderstar was saying, but like there's you can play in a way where you need to like move the screen around and select units and give commands that way, just like a human would.
I actually kind of would be interested in that because for those of you who don't know, on here is I have a show called Bits of Code where I essentially document my way of building a bot to get up the ladder, and I'd be curious to have that as one of my constraints of one of my episodes is to how well a bot can do when it's not Alpha Star but still trying to be like humans. So that would be interesting. I didn't know that you could use something in the API. I'll dig into that. That'd be fun.
They had to do, I think in the first test games that they played, they didn't require it to look wherever, and they put that in after because it was microing things outside the screen.
Yeah, that was in the first round of it, and then the final build has it that it has to move the screen to where it wants to go. Yeah, they did that. That's why they showed at the bottom where it was looking. So I'm gonna be curious to try that. But anyways, humans versus bots. As you all know, we refer to our brave humans as the meat bags because that's how our robot overlords. Luckily, all of us here on ProBots are safe and spared from what wrath that comes, regardless of the outcome. I, for one, welcome our AI overlords. But you know what they don't welcome? You not hitting that like button or subscribe. They will find you, algorithm or not. So if you're here, you're watching, do that. As always, it's a grand finals. So let everyone know we're grand finals of the ProBots. Go find your mom, turn on her phone, put on ProBots. Grandma sleeping, turn on there too. Let everyone know the finals is happening today and now. What else needs to be noted? Oh, exclamation mark join up our membership. Actually, yesterday we just did post bots. Me, Ketrock, and I we talked about his micro and how his micro works. We had actually Doug Tato was in asking some questions, so you too could be there live and learn from each other on our post bots, which we do last Friday of every month. Next Friday, September's Friday, we talked to T-Bone's author about how to use not Unity, because I thought it was Unity. It's not Unity, utility AI.
That makes more sense. When you were saying that, the other day, I didn't know what you were talking about.
Yeah, not Unity, because that's what I thought it was. Utility AI, which is also used in AAA game studios, but not Unity. So yeah, that's for next month, last Friday of the month. So exclamation mark join to get out information on how to become a member, and that's in the chat and then also in the description if you're watching this later. Okay, I feel like it's good. I can let you guys take the wheel. I don't know how much preamble we're going to get to because you guys don't know anything about the humans.
It's true. I mean, I think we know a couple of them.
I mean,
but yeah.
I mean, I wish we can give you guys a preview.
Nondescript.
Do we want to give them a preview of like what humans are playing, or do we want to let them know as each one happens?
Let's build it up.
Let's build it up. Okay.
Yeah, let them see. I think a couple of these guys, or at least 3 of them I recognize, have played before, or people would know.
Okay, well, what we'll do is we'll oh, and they're playing on the human maps. I just realized that they're playing on the ladder maps, which may not actually coincide with our ladder maps. Huh, interesting. All right, I just noticed that now. Interesting. All right, production, why don't you give us a countdown? I'll sit here for until we're ready to go, and I'll let our casters take over once we get in the game. I'll help with the preamble. Always fun to banter. Assuming
this first one will be fun actually, because can we reveal who the meat bag is?
Yeah,
I think so. I feel like it's okay. Like it's
so it's gonna be
Simon.
Gonna be tier T versus tier H, basically.
The human.
The human.
Tier human.
Yeah.
So the bot author is playing his own bot.
Yeah.
Fun.
And I've been told by production, because I haven't seen any of these games, but I was told that this is worth watching. So we're either which way. So I have no clue what's gonna happen, but I didn't choose the games, and we're gonna see. And people here were honest. I heard that people were honest. They submitted their first games. Yeah, I'm very happy
to encourage that. We both encouraged it, and we kind of threatened that we would know if you didn't. and I think that helped, because that is true. So we do know when you didn't. But yeah, so I think this could be a good one then. So presumably he would know what the bot does, but
presumably
we'll get a good test. It's basically like it's a form of map hacking, but it's like code hacking of what his opponent will do.
Yeah, no, the thing is, I think again we actually got a lot of maps from you guys too. I mean, a lot of games from you. So after ProBots is done, sometime in the future, we'll actually go over some of these extra games because I've been told they are worth watching. But we'll kick it off to Humans versus ProBots, game 1. Let's do it.
tier.
Bot. Or is that a factory? It's a factory, never mind. Double gas opener, interesting. So going for the heavy army play early on rather than the quicker expansion.
And presumably his opponent who coded that in will know that is a possible. We'll see if he scouts at all.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how much variation there are in the
Yeah.
builds of tier. I feel like in TVT, he likes to be a little bit responsive to what his opponent does, so it might be a more generic build, but we'll find out, I guess. Reaper is moving across the map as he takes the expansion. Simon does have his expansion down significantly earlier, though.
Yep. Like he'll, trying to take a tiny bit of an economic edge, both at the same work count. Reaper will pop up into the main here and more scout than look for damage.
Yeah, which is too bad because Simon is not ready to deal with a Reaper. He's got 2 Marines, and Marines are not good against Reapers unless you can, have a wall off or a bunker or something.
He will just peacefully leave the base and return back home. Perhaps showing respect to his coder.
Yeah, Reaper's one of those units that kind of falls off in strength really quickly, so it's not a bad idea to kill it off if you can get an SCV or something.
Yeah, very.
Although in TVT, they kind of hold their strength for a fair amount of time, at least until the tanks are out on the field.
They can at least be a little annoying too, like because of the grenades and stuff like that. They can at least poke in and regenerate if they lose health, so it can be a little bit of a map control type of unit, but yeah, not once you really have army versus army, no, they just blow up.
And now that you mentioned, even in like large scale fights, Reapers are kind of useless for a human, but a bot can still be like hucking grenades around in the middle of that fight because there's no APM limitation for them. So it's a big deal if you can make like 15 units pop up in the air in the middle of a fight. That's a huge DPS loss.
Yeah, maybe we should see more of that Mass Reaper. I mean, we used to, in the earlier days of ProBots, we saw a lot more Mass Reaper strategies, and people got better at kind of dealing with it. But early multi-racks Reaper buds worked pretty well.
Yeah. There's a lot of potential there, actually, especially if your Reapers are timing their grenades, stuttering their grenades. And like even without that, we've seen like Dominion Dog like upsets Micro Machine with having like a Reaper cheese. So there's potential with them.
Very true, and people have gotten a lot better at using those grenades in more of an anticipatory way too. Because for a long time, anything like a grenade or any other projectile, really people were only capable of throwing it directly at where a unit was. But we're seeing a lot more subtle behavior where it's putting it at the top of a cliff or it's putting it in front of the path of where a unit's coming.
Yeah, and against a human especially, you'd probably be able to predict where the unit's going, and you can throw the grenade in front of it. It's a little harder to do that against a bot, because bot units are wiggling all over the place, so it's hard to predict where they're going. But against humans, you can definitely lead them and get the nice grenade hit.
Spread here on Simon's side. He's up and denied his turret. The Marines are going to have a hard time moving in.
Yeah, Marines are a little too able to walk into the Liberator zones, which is a problem. Like they're trying to stay outside the Liberator, but they walk in just enough to take a hit, and that's all you got to do to get wiped out.
Not fully acknowledging that they need to move a long time before that.
Yeah, with my tanks, anytime they're under threat and there's nothing they can shoot at, that's the time to unsiege. So, especially nice when units like walk into the dead zone of the siege tank and there's nothing they can shoot. Really good time to unsiege and just go back to normal siege mode. Or unsiege mode, whatever you call it.
Yeah, I don't know what that is officially called. But I guess so. Default mode. Normal mode.
I know the Thor one. Thor's like, what, explosive and high impact or something? But, no, bad attack for the tier bot. However, he does have his third base up earlier. So, still an economic lead. or retaking an economically, taking an economically, I should say, as natural as much later actually.
Yeah, army supply on Simon's side, a lot of that is in these liberators. It may be that, again, as the author, he knows that there's a weakness to this type of unit in time to like recognize that it's there or something. Um,
Yeah.
so he's kind of leaning into it. And definitely we've got all mech here. I think he only made the first 2 Marines.
And if he actually is around Bronze League, or we'll say not too experienced in StarCraft 2, the Liberator is a really nice unit to like just you set
Yeah.
it up and then you don't. It's not a micro intensive unit. We'll say you set up some siege tanks, you set up some Liberators. You can kind of go have a coffee break, and they'll fight just as well as if you were there. So it's a good choice of unit types.
He's got 2 really nice arrangements here too. One is almost like the quintessential Venn diagram, and then the other one are like perfectly kissing circles. Oh, and now the ultra
Dead center.
Venn diagram.
Yeah. I'll have to come up with some data for this diagram.
Yeah. Well, that may be decided later of like things that are shot by a tank, things that are shot by a Liberator, things that are shot by a Liberator in a tank.
So the one thing I'm not seeing out of Simon is bio at all, really.
Yeah.
And the one thing we know that the tier bot likes to do in TVT is build 1,000,000 Thors. And bio is kind of the counter to Thors. Without the bio, Thors are almost solid or really like at least average or extremely good versus basically every mech unit that exists. So, good against tanks, amazing against battle cruisers, solid against all their air units.
Yeah, and when you're fighting the same versus same against the bot, it's going to be better at the control, at the repair of those things as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also probably, given that there's some reliance on the Liberators here, if here the bot goes into Thors, then they're going to be pretty good at repping those Liberators in the sky too. But we've just got a bio and a lot of Vikings.
That's going to be a problem for a Liberator tank with no extra units. Looks like he's just going to be fortifying a 4th base location, though. Too bad, because if you're pushed out right now, I think that'd be a lot of trouble for Simon here.
I think so too. And like you said, he's got a pretty big worker lead and continuing to expand on this. And he's caught up and surpassed him in army supply. So just the pure macro on the tier side has taken over. There's our APM comparison. Currently, Simon went to the bathroom for a second. And but an average of 1,800 versus 55. Lower generally when you're mech, I guess, anyway, but yeah.
4th base on the way for both players. So still economically staying somewhat similar. I do like the tiers pushing out now. He might be able to deny that 4th. But he's heading into the 3rd. So we'll have to see how well these Marines can do against Thors, because everything else looks pretty nice for Tank Viking at the moment.
See them come in. I like the use of the sensor tower since he's so reliant on immobile defense. That's going to give him some early warning here. But the Liberators and stuff haven't really moved. Thors that's responding.
Yeah, interesting that the tanks aren't sieging up at all. And this high ground could pose an issue every time the Vikings and medevacs move away. He loses that high ground vision. I don't think there's enough on the ground anymore for Tyr to break through here. So
yeah, by the time he sieged in the back, the Marines in the front were gone. Now the Thors are just taking those out pretty well. Guns working okay against the Vikings.
yeah,
Is going to swing back in, but I don't think there's enough here now. And now the Liberators will actually play.
Vikings taking down the Liberators very quickly though, able to one-shot them. Yeah, I think somewhat even. A good fight for Simon, but Simon did lose his 4th base in the process, so I think that balances things out. And the 5th is on the way for Tyr now, so if Simon doesn't press his army advantage, we'll say, then this could be getting bad as time goes on for him.
Yeah, he may have to get up to max quick here and then just go and try and take over this game. He's adding more Thors, adding the range to the Liberators. Although he may want to just move away from that a bit. As he goes on the offensive, I think they're less valuable, just because he knows the counters are strong.
Yeah. And with all these siege units, I don't think there's any there's not going to be any attempt for Simon to expand or to push out. I mean, so even though he has an army advantage now, since it's mostly tank liberator, and I think he wants to play a defensive style just based on the sensor towers and the siege units, I think he's going to hang back. You know, wait till he maxes out, try to win that way.
Yeah, which should be relatively soon. He does actually have upgrade advantages for a short window here. But yeah, he's not shown. I think he wants to establish that that fourth, get the stable economy. But here, we give him time as he's moving back in again. And what's the angle of attack this time? He's kind of in two smaller groups.
Oh, and he pulls the Vikings away right before they see the Liberator. Okay, he gets the Liberator down somewhat quickly, but the Liberator still was able to kill that siege tank off. Tanks are falling to these Marines. So that was a nice attack, kind of avoiding the massive Thors. However, doesn't get cleaned up. And does Simon even need tanks and Liberators anymore? Or is the pure Thor the way to go?
Yeah, nothing is really chipped away at that. He took damage earlier, but he's repaired most of that. Yeah, he's saving the one in front here.
Here does need to hold off on the pushing out. Army size, he's down to 48 army supply against 111. So that's a problem. Economy-wise, great. But army is quite low, and I'm actually a little bit surprised that Tyr is not pushing into the Mass Thor. I know he loves that style, at least against my bot in the TVTs, so
yeah,
maybe it's a Ketrock specific thing rather than a TVT specific thing.
Quite possible. Yeah, he's not really moving off the army composition that he's got, and it just kind of, also when it's coming in, it's not really together, and it's kind of been ignoring stuff like Liberators and tanks, just kind of taking charge. There's at least one Thor, but now he's making four, so making the hard shift.
Okay, and even though Simon was held on 3 bases for quite a while, he has been able to max out on basically Mass Thor here. So 197 supply.
Yeah, and now what's he going to do with that? Is he going to try and go on the offense? He's got to either go for the heart or just try and shut this down. I think if he potentially is looking to absorb a hit and win a decisive fight and then push, and it looks like we're going to meet in the middle here now.
That could definitely work as well. Okay, tank's sieging up now, but all the Marines are already dead by the time they siege up, and that is it for the tank count. We do have a Thor in the weeds, which is nice, so he gets some free damage off, although there's the scan to reveal him. You can get the weak Thor at least? No, he does not target it down. So yeah, okay, it's going to be, looks like about 15 Thors versus nothing. Well, let's see how this goes. Actually, one Thor does get in deep, and that will be trouble. Especially if he's able to kill off his Liberator.
Yeah, does survive for now. And yeah, if that could just be a distraction on the human side, he's going to have to devote some thinking at least to deal with it, but he's charging through here now. The tank's again getting in range and then just sieging up right in front of these Thors, and that's not a great strategy. Doing it yet again.
Yeah, it does look like that Thor died on the other side of the map, so the counter damage is not there anymore. So Tyr, again, large army, but just funneling what little units he does have to their death.
Yeah, there's just no way to get any attrition damage on this. And
I'd love to see these tanks siege up from far away. It's like, they move right into Thor range and then they siege up. It's like, that doesn't seem like the correct micro.
Yeah, not quite working. When he gets, he's got to, if there's so many of these damaged, he's got to start actually finishing some of them off. And then still Vikings in production, tanks in production. And we're going to get the speed up here now. Almost finishing one off, not quite. Oh, finally does get it. But there's just not enough taking this down, and Simon's built up a pretty big bank as well to replace everything, even if this does fall.
What if Simon pulls all of his Thors back home, like he did against, like did against my bot last season?
Possible.
We've seen the situation before. It's like 4-based economy, but you're dead.
Yeah.
Will
These
the other
tanks
bot
too,
let you live?
there's so many tanks that have come out in a good position too, and then they just walk forward
Yeah.
into the death when they could have just sieged to hold the line there.
And sometimes they walk forward and like take a couple shots and then siege up. It's really weird, yeah.
Yeah, like do one or the other. If you're gonna kind of suicide in and just get the shots you can, that's one thing. But to take one or two, then see, you could have at least got 3 or 4 there.
There were some fights where there was like
Yeah.
6, 7 tanks with a bunch of Marines. Like if they all sieged up at maximum range, like yeah, maybe all the Marines die while they're sieging up, but then you start getting some really nice volleys off after that. But even with still, I'm not sure if it would have been enough. That's so many Thors out of Simon.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Well done.
Alrighty. Good stuff. Good defense starting for the humans. And I think we are kicking to another one of our bot authors. It's going to be up against who's it up against? Well,
BenBotPC, I believe,
yeah,
right?
BenBotPC versus Rasper. Okay.
The Rasper is the author of Aerys, who we'll be seeing later on today. And I believe he's like a Diamond League player himself.
Yeah, I
and
think
then
so.
BenBotPC is a... BenBotPC new to the humans versus bots? Have we seen him play humans before?
I don't know. I don't remember playing against him myself. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe a new one.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think. Or at least relatively new. But yeah, maybe it was there last season, but I don't quite recall. It'll be an interesting one. Again, especially since it does some things that you may know. Like, it will standardly proxy a
bunker.
Right? So if you kind of know that's happening, then that's pretty easy to stop. But it can also just decide not to do that, play defensively. And if it does, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going to hope that he has that turned off for versus humans, because that seems more like a exploit the bots sort of bunker contained. I don't think that would ever work versus human.
Yeah, the idea is to try.
I can see his style working well versus humans. Like, he has that kind of like defensive stance while attacking up. And typically you want to get to the mid game. Mid games are where bots are at their absolute strongest, because that's when like macro and attacking 10 different places at once is really kicks in. That's where the bots' strength are.
Yeah.
So I could see him surviving like early game cheese and then getting to that point and being really successful. So that's what I would hope to see out of BenBot.
Yeah, I think
Rasper, I think's had some epic games versus bots in the past. So
yeah, he's submitted a few times. Yeah, so I know he'll at least try and be stylish with what he does. But yeah, it's often the bots, like where a bot like BenBotPC or Micro Machine or somebody gets one over on the human, is it starts to just snowball. That its economy is really good, its macro is really good. It's never letting things die. It just keeps them alive and repairs them, and then you just never quite finish things off, and it becomes overwhelming in the end. So we'll see if that's the case here.
So I think we're ready to go. So let's hop right into game 2. See if Meat Megs can go up 2-0. Representative.
Indeed. And yeah, so this one, again, a map that's not in our current AI pool.
And he's actually going for the Proxy Barracks.
He's doing it. Nice. He's also scouting around on his own side to see if there's any shenanigans from Rasper, but given that he's a Zerg, the possibility of that is much lower. Drone is trying to go after the SCV here. We'll probably get it in time.
Yeah, so at least in the bot meta, he was able to force the opponent to pull off like 7 workers or something.
Yeah.
In this case, it's just the 1. And he's not going to transition out. I think he's going to send out another worker and continue trying to build that barracks. So this is a very rough start for BenBotPC.
Yeah, it is a bit here. He at least is making the barracks at home. I think this is a bit of a variation on what he used to do. I think he's updated stuff a little bit. Out the drone kind of get peaked there a little bit, but he's definitely going to get this before it's able to finish. Long before maybe the next SCV will finish it, but it's a bit late.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to exploit the bot, don't even attack the barracks. Just let the SCVs keep coming. Meanwhile, we do have a hatchery out of Rasper, who went, I believe, full first.
Yeah.
And 1 gas.
And SCV will swing in again. He's making a Marine at home, which may come and try and reinforce that front situation. Does the barracks get up? I think it will finish this time.
Oh, you're right. It will. That's a little surprising. I guess
I think
Rasper is a little distracted there, but he does have 6 lings on the way, so I don't suspect much is going to happen with this. Looks like he was only building 2, but once the barracks finishes, he's like, maybe I should build some more lings. And I think that's a good choice.
Yeah, 2 lings and a drone there, or this will hop out on the other side, which is good. I'm getting into a little pocket, but dead on arrival.
Yeah, and splitting his damage between the 2 different lings.
Yeah. The Marine comes to die as well. And he's not building out of this anymore. There's the pickup. And he'll float that on home. BenBot's always very willing to abandon this sort of thing. So in a way, like having that drawn out as long as it was is definitely really good for Rasper. That he wasted extra SCVs and resources on something. If it was just shut down cold right away, then he would just transition.
Yeah. So 3rd base on the way for Rasper, 2nd base on the way for BenBotPC. Yeah, I would love to see Blasier turn off that bunker contained for next humans versus ProBots.
Yeah, maybe a little too predictable.
Yeah, there's certain things that work well versus bots and not versus humans. I think that might be one of them. But then there's the other way around too. Certain things that bots can do. Like I feel like Cyclones are maybe one of the worst units in the game versus bots, but
against
probably
humans.
incredibly strong versus humans would be my guess. Lings are able to scoot in. I do like BenBot's defensive code. He always like immediately empties the bunker when anything is able to get in here. And it looks like Rasper's going to be happy to trade out the Zerglings for SCVs, and I think that's a very good choice, especially as BenBot can only build 1 SCV at a time right now.
Very, very true. We'll get cleaned up here and back to the front. And yeah, definitely good trades. So I think he lost 3 initially while trying to build the barracks, and then 3 on that side. And I don't quite know what this one's doing. It's like he's had like an SCV scouting the whole game, but I'm not sure what he's scouting for. Zerg proxies.
It's one of those very generic things he code, where he just like, every game, just let me scout around the map with 1 SCV, and he'll keep scouting until he dies. And you do that every single game. And it saves you for getting cheesed a lot on the ladder, but yeah, it does look kind of ridiculous in certain scenarios. Especially versus Zerg, especially versus a human, especially 5 minutes into the game.
So Rasper going for that
nice
Spire. Yeah, collecting a lot of gas, trying to save up for probably a big Muta switch. Try and get 7 or 8 out when that finishes.
Yeah, I remember Rasper played my bot a couple seasons ago, and he did a big Muta switch, and it was kind of turned the game back around in his direction for a while. It was pretty strong.
It's one of those things, I think, again, that you can kind of confuse and annoy a bot with. It has a lot of like backdoor potential. It has a lot of like hit and run potential, and just enough to like pull back, cancel its offense. But yeah, the Marines are coming. The one thing, whenever you make a big switch into mutas, you always want them to know about it on their side of the map. But if you're making this switch to 8 mutas and there's like 20 Marines on your front door, that's not necessarily the best thing that you want.
Oh, and with the kiting backwards and the drone pull, that's like a lot of free drone kills, and didn't even take much queen damage during that time. So I'm not even sure if he can stay around with the queens here.
Yeah,
he's got the transfuse going nicely, but yeah, it's still too much.
A lot of DPS, and he's waiting for that stuff to come out. But even with there's a low enough number now that I guess he can overwhelm it, but you still, don't want to put 8 mutas in the face of 12 Marines.
Yeah, so let's see what some of our response we see out of BenBot as soon as he sees those. Starport on the way, Widow Mine. No missile turrets jumping up, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think this is a case he should have just stood and fight.
Yeah.
He'd get maybe 2 more of those, because there's no point running away given their speed.
Yeah, great to fight though for BenBot. Taking a lot of drones and I think 4 important queens. The question is, can he deal with these mutas now that are on the other side of the map? And I'm not sure if he can. Obviously, if they can't attack the front line, but there's a lot of places to do attack that aren't right in the front line. Good amount of Marines. I mean, you can kind of dance around and stay out of their range though. Doesn't actually get that tech lab.
Yeah, most will be repaired. Rasper's going to have to watch out for some of the Widow Mine that can be buried around. But I think just the one up front he's making more.
Yeah. If I know BenBot, I think the Widow Mines are mostly just for the front line. Maybe for like the 3rd and 4th bases. But I don't think you'll find them scattered around his main at all. Finally, missile turrets started, but a little bit late now. Viking is nice. They can kind of kite from range, which is allowing it to do poke damage. If he tries to jump the Viking, hopefully the Marines are there to cover him.
Yeah, just to get a little bit on various things so that they don't have complete free reign.
Oh,
there you almost started to track in as the turret still hasn't finished here in the main.
Yeah. A lot of SCVs going down, I assume, during this time. I haven't really been watching, but even just focusing the missile turrets is enough to kill these.
Yeah, true. You get the bounces
SCVs.
anyway, so let's cancel that one off.
He's just preventing those turrets from ever getting up. He's going from one mineral line to the next. Yeah. It's like, okay, now I kill the turret over here, then I kill the turret back there. And...
yeah, and the Marines and stuff don't know to split or anything. They are just kind of linearly chasing. So unless Rasper makes a mistake, again, into the Widow Mines or something, then it does feel like he's overrun with only 23 workers left. BenBot maybe just going for like the desperation counterattack.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah.
You know, run across the map, build turrets while that's happening. Hopefully pull the mutas back. Oh, he's actually going for it? No, don't do that.
No,
that's the only place he
can't
can't attack. Yeah. Literally the only place. Oh, he's gonna get hit by no? No.
Oh, just to the range in time. He did kind of pull the army back.
That's too bad. Yeah, this is really a rough spot for BenBot. He lost so many workers that he's not going to have a third anytime soon. And we got Rasper going up to 4 and 5 bases here. Not a lot of creep spread or anything, so he has been very micro intensive. Oh my goodness. Someone's not watching the screen.
Someone.
Okay, we got a game again, kinda.
Yeah, evens it out. Definitely resets the army count. If BenBot wants to try a counterattack now, then maybe a little more possibilities. But there are some lings out. Overall, it didn't feel like he lost 20. Like, even with the shots at the end, it didn't feel like 20 of the mutas died.
He had a lot grouped up there. Yeah, I think that Hellion we just saw die was the real hero. I think that's what had Rasper distracted while his army was, like, baited into the Widow Mines and bunker.
Rasper trying to tech up to a few things now, getting a Baneling Nest, Infestation Pit, and the Hydra Den.
Okay, third base finally on the way now for BenBotPC. That's good to see. And honestly, it doesn't even matter that it's this late because he's still trying to saturate his first 2 bases again, which is a problem. By the time he hits that 48 worker count or whatever it is, he'll have that third base ready to saturate.
Yeah, the real big thing, of course, BenBot by his name is attempting to go up to battle cruisers eventually, and this whole thing obviously delayed that by quite a bit.
Yeah. We may not even see that. That's BCs is kind of like the I have everything I need, then we
Yeah.
start making BCs. The
Right.
question is, will he ever get to the I have everything I need point? Because okay, mutas are heading in once again, but there are turrets now, so
It's better defend it now, and I don't know that Rasper's gonna put, 20 mutas on the field again. I think
Yeah.
they're just use what you've got.
I mean he may. He's a fan of the mass mutalist style,
Yeah,
so
sure.
he may try something different and then transition back into it, or we'll find out. Still good to have the Spire nonetheless, because he, like you said, he'll probably be expecting BCs at some point.
Yeah, you can transition well with it. He's getting a lurker done on top of this too, and a lot of Hydra with a few Banelings mixed in.
Very nice. Third base has landed now for BenBotPC. He very much needed that. Worker count is up to a respectable 52. Is very low, but very respectable for having lost whatever
given
he lost, 40 workers or
down
whatever.
down to 23 at one point, so it's a good recovery, which can continue. But the Rasper is moving in through the bottom middle of the map, gonna probably take an angle on that third.
With a lot of Hydras, Lings, a couple Bailings. I'm going to guess he's going to morph a whole bunch more Bailings and just try to overrun that third. I think that's going to be the game plan here.
Yeah, he could just crash in.
But even the Hydras alone might be trouble for that planetary to stay alive against. Because there's not
there's
really anything to assist the PF. There's no tanks over here. There's one Widow Mine arriving. Actually, there's a decent amount of bio.
BenBot did see this with the Hellion as it ran by. One strategic Widow Mine right up front. But that's a lot of Banelings. I don't think that's going to matter.
Let's hope that another command center on the way for BenBot, because that third base is not long for this world.
The army moving into place to defend that third.
Yeah, Rasper might have even been thinking about ramming the fourth base, and is only finding out now that it doesn't exist.
Doesn't even exist. Yeah.
I was in place though. They can kite backwards versus these Bailings. Kill off a lot of them before they get in charge of the planetary.
And from two angles here, big surround on everything.
Yeah, not kiting back.
Just click directly on the PF, take it out. A lot of things traded off for this, but that's probably going to be totally fine.
Yeah, ramming Bailings into planetaries is really dumb if you're behind or equal. But if you're ahead, that's just like the easiest way to win the game.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how bad it is economically, the trade, or how bad the trade is value-wise. The fact that you're ahead economically means you can rebuild and he can't.
Big hold there on the bunker, but second wave of Hydras will come in.
Yep.
And
BenBot's needs is for him to just attack the natural, not the third. He's doing that, but actually you can't hold the natural either. If you Widow Mines, they're probably going down.
Way too much. Yeah, he could just kind of instant rematch.
That's an interesting Liberator position. Like the SCVs from Zealot run by, I guess. Alright, well done, Rasper. Nice micro with the mutas early on. Exploiting how slow those Marines can be.
Yeah, and just the fact that they don't split up or anything to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because this initial push in did quite a bit of damage, but then being able to bypass that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes down to just the bunker rush being such an early game lead for Rasper. Who knows what would have happened if this game played out the same way without that bunker rush existing. BenBot would have had a lot earlier, that's for sure.
Yeah, a lot more Marines, and if he had more Marines, he probably would have stood and fought in that initial push instead of, as he retreated from like 8 mutas when he could have killed, like he would have still died, but he would have killed a lot more. But generally the bots decide to retreat if they're not outright win the fight. But if he had more, he probably would have stayed. They work. In big enough numbers, they always work.
Very nice, very nice.
Indeed. So we are 2-0 on the meat bag side and going into game number 3 against SharkBot is going to be our next bot up. And the human player is Neutzel, who is also a self-reported Diamond player. I don't know if we've had a entry from him in the past, so I may be wrong because I don't remember everyone's name, but I don't
recall it either,
recognize
yeah.
it. Yeah. So that should be good. SharkBot, I'm not sure what he's going to do because he can do some very cheesy stuff too. A lot of his cheese is very anti-bot as well.
Yeah.
Like really hang stuff out there to be like a magnet for you to walk into. So I don't know what we'll get, but SharkBot can also just play big macro games and just be good.
Yeah, let's hope he goes that direction.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking about the cheeses I've seen out of SharkBot, and I don't think they'll work well versus humans.
Yeah.
But
yeah, they require you to like participate in your own death in a lot of ways.
maybe the proxy Void Ray
Yeah.
play could be okay. But yeah, I'd love to see his mid game get out there. He's able to expand and get that sky toss going and mass battery cannon and even start pushing the batteries and cannons towards the opponent.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that.
For sure. So I think we are ready to go with it right away. So let's hop on. I don't know if this will really be the map, but we'll find out when we load in.
SharkBot.
And yeah, the ZVZ or ZVP match I think will be pretty good on this. And yeah, if he was random coming in, then SharkBot not knowing that could play a role.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to like switch strategies for bots because they kind of their starts are kind of not hard coded, but you know they usually want to have a plan and not have to like, okay, now I'm switching plans, but I've already started a different plan. Like that's hard to code. But
He's going for the gas steal.
Love it. Did Neutral immediately take the other one? He did. Okay, very nice.
So it's kind of a, if you don't get both, then you might as well not have taken either.
Yeah, especially against Zerg. Yeah. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, you're never going to take both, and you get the other hatchery up so quick that if you did want them, then you've got them. But it will be there. Sometimes it just makes people act irrationally too. Like,
is he actually trying to mess with minerals? He is very nice.
Nice.
Oh, and will he go into the gas afterwards and start just destroying minerals and gas?
That would be.
I haven't seen this in a really, really long time, like Wings of Liberty. But when Protoss would do this, when you end up with minerals in your hand, you go to the gas to reset it, and you can start harassing his minerals again. Or you can just keep going back and forth and just destroy all the resources from his base.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something a bot could do easily without ruining their
that would
macro
cool.
at home.
Yeah, you could probably do it well enough that you just permanently take one of the nodes away. Would be fun.
But we do have a nice little natural wall out of SharkBot and his own natural expansion. I like it. I think him and -0 are the two bots that build the really nice natural walls, which is very key to Protoss play versus Zerg.
Is going to adapt. That could be a pretty good thing versus humans. If you really get into the individual control and pull them apart, can be quite strong.
Yeah, when you're harassing with them, it's a lot of decision making, which bots can struggle with. But we have seen like -0 beat that GM streamer, and a lot of it was to do with his ability to use the depths very well.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that just once you get into the individual control of things and you can make individual, it's like you said, the decision making can be the hard part, but the ability to just go to 20 different places and then decide if it warps him in that place or not.
The Adept itself is a very basic unit. You know, it's just a basic ranged units. And then I think with the shading, that's more decision than micro. Yeah. It's like, okay, I made the shade. Do I commit to it or do I not commit to it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess a little bit of scouting here. It's just one Adept, I guess. Not a big deal. He gets a Ling, maybe two. Good information.
It's all about the information.
If there's 2 adepts, then I'd love to see him just start trying to one-shot probes or drones. But 1 adept, scout die.
Not so
Okay.
much. And Neutral is trying to go. Well, he was adding on a round of drones there, but now switch back into a few lings and a roach warren coming down.
Oh, we see a warp prism on the way. SharkBot has really good prism micro with stalkers, where you'd have multiple prisms out on the map full of stalkers, and they'd just be constantly dropping, picking up. I would love to see if he can get multiple prisms fighting. This could be a crazy match.
Good.
That's something no humans ever faced before, and it'll be super annoying.
Scouting here with the hallucinated Phoenix, trying to figure out what's up. Also was simultaneously apparently scanning the B drive on Neutral's computer, which I assume he has not had since the mid-1990s.
That's for the large floppy disks, not the
exactly.
It's for the hard floppy disks.
Yeah, so
the floppy
probably
disks
more
are
the
actually
80s.
hard. They're called floppy still.
Yeah. Was it 3.5 versus
5.25?
5.25? Yeah, something like that. I remember. I'm that old. That I started with the Commodore 64 using those.
Yeah. The Apple IIc, which had twice the RAM of the Commodore 64.
Ooh.
A whole 125K of RAM.
That's more than you'll ever need,
Yeah.
according to Bill Gates.
We're at.
Yeah,
I mean, 128 gigs of RAM is probably possible now. So that's we have 1 million times more RAM now than back in those days.
Pretty good.
The first company I worked at had some old computer stuff upstairs, and I noticed that they had a floppy disk that was like the size of a small record.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that existed. It looked just like the 5.25, but I think it was more like 8 inches maybe.
There was a lot of that sort of thing, and then there was the cassette style drives. I never had one of those, but I've seen them.
They were around for a long time, actually.
Yeah.
I think companies use them for backup.
Yeah.
It was like a cheap storage method, so I think even into the 90s that was used for backing up data companies.
Yeah. And of course, if anyone doesn't know, the way that you made sure that you couldn't overwrite a disk that was important was you literally hole punched the side of it. That there was a notch. If the disk had a notch in it, it became read only. And then you could just put a piece of tape over it to make it read right again.
Okay, also, we are seeing the... Okay, we will go back to the game here. We are seeing the prism micro now with the stalkers, which is really nice. This is cool, with one prism, but what happens when he gets 3, 4 prisms? That's what I really want to see him. We saw him get to that versus Aerys once, and it worked really well. Now, he was down 12 bases to 2 at that point in time, so it didn't matter, but it was still kind of cool to see. Yeah, I remember the 5.25 discs. You could buy double-sided ones that had twice the capacity.
Yeah.
Or you could buy single-sided ones for half the price, and you just put your own notch in the side, and it became double-sided.
Yeah.
So you just got a pair of scissors, and you can make single-sided discs into double-sided.
Yeah, it was a weird technology. Because exactly, it was the same type of film.
How did they break the code?
Yeah, it was just a piece of film. It obviously had 2 sides. It would be like saying it's a double-sided record. Of course, there's another side.
I remember with CDs, you could make them.
Yeah.
You could crack the copyright on CDs by taking a marker and just drawing a circle around the outside of the disc. Very nice defense there. He's got a good amount of immortals, so that'll deal really well with these roaches. Meanwhile, he's switched up the warp prism play to immortals. However, he's heading back to grab some shields once again.
Yeah, this looks relatively economically pretty even on both sides. There is an army lead for Neutral, but I feel like SharkBot's, because of both the micro and the number of immortals, is probably a bit more stable, and he's getting into Colossus now too.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers might say as an army lead, but when it's 7 immortals versus pure roaches, and roaches are a pretty cheap unit. I kind of like where SharkBot's at. Are there upgrades on the way? He has no upgrades at the moment, but neither does neutral, so just the +1. It's not a big deal. It looks like it might be transitioning into Storm, see Stargate, like a lot of late game things, Colossus.
Now the immortal drops are going to be a little more potent in taking things out, but the queens are able to heal.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's not perfect micro, so in a moment like that, you can say, okay, it's safe to just make my War Prism run away, because the immortals aren't under threat. But SharkBot's like, no, I need to keep the immortals kind of close to in case I need to pick up the immortals, and by doing so, the queens are able to gun all the shields off of the War Prism. But nice decision making and going back home, regenerating those shields every time, so he's not ever actually losing any units. And if nothing else, he's drawing attention from neutral, which is a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
These are
That is-
slow
They are.
Hydras. Don't see that very often. Is that upgrade on the way? Probably. There's a lot of upgrades on the way. One of those has to be speed, right?
Most likely, and also just not having the creep spread extending that far. It's not terrible, but it's not like the bots that we see where it's already at the front door.
Yeah.
10 minutes into the game.
So another
push
large
up there.
attack here coming in. There's a super battery available. Colossus with range in the background. The two immortals are actually across the map, so that might be good and a bad thing when this attack is happening. Second Colossus does come out in time, although it's, at the moment he's not actually fighting.
Army splitting here a little bit, chasing one of the Colossus down, but I'm not sure that that's the best way to go. The distraction attack on the other side.
Yeah, Colossus is not doing a lot of damage, but it's basically all free damage, just constantly kiting, using that large range. And those immortals that are across the map did deny the 4th base out of Newt, so putting him back to, or deny the 5th base, I should say. Putting him back to forwards is a big deal. I don't think Neutral actually even gets the 4th base of SharkBot either. He kills probably all the probes, but with these two Colossus, one of them's actually getting low.
Yeah, one does fall there. Kind of, I think it's stuck on the other one. Immortal swinging back in to help clean up the rest of the roaches. And yeah, the question is, did he do enough here? The harassment is still continuing on his side too. These immortals are not going down anytime soon.
I believe that was Neutral who said nuts, right?
Yeah.
He must be getting a little bit frustrated.
Yeah.
From his perspective, that attack probably didn't go very well. He lost his entire army and did not kill a single base. And
And
even
lost
though
a
it's probably
base,
not as
yeah.
bad as that sounds, it was a good defense out of SharkBot.
Yeah, it seemed at first like, given that Neutral was able to run into the 4th there with the rest of the army engaged, it got worker kills, but SharkBot's immediately back to 80 something. Yeah, really needed to take out something a little more substantial than that to make it worth that sort of trade.
Oh,
That's a good job. That's good.
I thought he was
Shuts us
actually
down.
going to let the immortal die. I was like, no,
Yeah.
I gotta go back for him. It didn't work out. So 2 immortals and a War Prism down, which is too bad because another War Prism is out. I really want to see the multiple War Prism.
Oh, now we get the
Disruptor ball.
Templar. Yeah.
The Disruptor didn't know he was on the other side of the rocks. It shot
Yeah.
its ball backwards. That's funny.
Now he's gonna walk home. You don't get picked up. The drop and double feedback is kind of fun. Oh, nice stasis
Oh, wow.
trap in the middle.
Yeah, I will say, of any bot, SharkBot uses everything with his race. He's the only bot that probably does that. Like, you can't name something that Protoss has that we haven't seen SharkBot use. Revelations and storms and feedback. Like,
Pick
all
up,
sorts
as
of
we're
weird
seeing
stuff.
right there. Picked up literally like a single ling in the Phoenix. Just to show us that he can do it, that's all. The lurkers here burrowed in a good spot, but the disruptors, even knowing where they are, seem to put that on top of the lurkers, but they are still there.
Yeah, it looks like Disruptors did go down. Nice storm.
Storm.
Oh, really? Nice
Big,
storm
big
there.
storm. And the revelation, too, to even spot that lurker position. But he does lose a lot here, SharkBot
Yeah.
does in the middle.
This time he was fighting out in the open, so
Yeah.
no defensive advantage of cannons and structures and super batteries. However, he will get these last two lurkers down, which is nice. Lurkers actually did a lot of work in that fight.
Yeah, a huge amount. He had the stuff to deal with it, like the detection, the observers there, everything, but he just kind of fought in front of them. And they don't take a long time to do a lot of damage.
Okay, corruptors are up. I think was like, I'm sick of these darn four prisons getting so much work done against me.
Yeah, we'll come across, but there are at least a decent number of Tempests and a couple Void Rays here as well.
Yeah, I forgot how good Tempest would be against humans as well. Like kiting at like 15 range that they can do against air units.
Particularly if he's got the observer or the oracles able to spot ahead for him. Observers too.
Oh, this is corruptors against. Okay, I thought the Tempests started on their own, but they do have a lot of support. So once again, pushing out and going on the offense is SharkBot. Looks like he's smelling blood.
I like he's even using the hallucinated Archon just to make the army look bigger.
Looks like Neutral has enough here, but I don't think he knows that Archon is fake. That's hilarious. Yeah. No one ever uses those things. And it does soak up some lurker spines. Prismatic alignments is going to work well, but he's not actually shooting the corruptors. He's shooting hydras with prismatic alignments. Not what you want to do.
Could have evaporated into that.
Okay, so large army advantage for Neutral, but by kiting backwards and having the range advantage, fight could actually end up going well for SharkBot. It looks like it will.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to these lurkers again, but a lot of the army is now in the air and fighting at range. So
yeah, full vision. You got a couple Void Rays with like 3 Tempests, and he's not retreating those lurkers, which is a big deal. Once he lost that ground force, he needs to bring those lurkers back and preserve that money. And now I think we got the biggest issue of Neutral being only on 4 bases. And you have this
and whatever this Colossus is doing just on his own at this point.
It's a big deal. Like, your opponent actions is such a major resource people don't consider. Like, if I do an attack that does nothing but it requires attention from your opponent, like obviously in the bot mana that doesn't matter, but against humans that's a big deal. A lot of lurkers morphing, but will they be able to morph in time?
Yeah, he's right on top of them.
Focusing down the weakest ones too really quickly. Nice focus fire out of SharkBot there.
Getting a bunch, some will finish, but instant revelation as soon as they came out. And now we get the Void Rays with the beams.
Yeah,
and it looks like they'll tap out. So we have our first AI victory.
I love it. What an awesome showcase for SharkBot. Yeah. We actually got to see his macro play, and we got to see his Prism micro. Yeah. Both, pretty solid.
Yeah, and like everything else too. Disruptor shots on point, storms on point. He was dropping
huge storms.
Yeah, dropping and feedback queens.
And that was a fight he lost as well. So imagine if he didn't hit those massive storms. Like if if that was an overwhelming loss, then maybe Neutral will be able to push forward and totally turn the game around. But I think we just saw the aftermath there.
Yeah,
those carcasses are what the storms were.
Yeah, there's a few positions there where, I think had Neutral been able to retreat with what he had left and regroup, then it might have worked. But because I felt like in the start of engagements, he was winning the beginning of them and then kind of getting out microed at the end once it became really scrappy, would start to lose. But there we go. Good showing either way. And we are now getting into our Grandmaster territory. Just skipping over Master straight to GM. Yeah. We're going to get
GMs against 2 of the best bots versus human bots that we have.
Yeah, and we've seen them too. This one, Lock, I'm not sure I've seen that name before either. But GM player will be facing Micro Machine. And I always wonder, like, when someone does this, like, I assume they're familiar with it, or else why would they be playing in the first place? But we've definitely seen a lot of cases in the past where, like, even a very high GM player playing against a bot, if they're not familiar with it or what it's going to do, it can take them by surprise, and it just plays so different that they can end up in trouble to it. But we'll see.
And Micro Machine, I think, has always been like our number 1 or number 2 bot versus humans.
Yeah.
Like even when he drops down the ladder to like 6 or 7 or something, he's just really solid versus human play. There's a lot of bugs you can have when you're playing in real time, which you have to do versus humans. But Micro Machine kind of dodges all those issues and just a solid bot. You know, he was cheese for so many years when he was the strongest that he's pretty cheese proof now, and
Yeah.
he likes to like keep the pressure on, which is a very good strategy versus bots or versus humans. I mean, keeping them on their back foot.
Quite true. So I think we are ready to jump into it. So this could be the deciding match on who wins. We'll still play the other one out regardless, but we may get back to a tie here. Let's hop in and find out.
Micro Machine.
Win ever versus in TVT. Yeah, Reaper shows up and you're like, oh, I have nothing. But maybe it wasn't Reaper. It's really hard to tell with that barracks timing. But still, it's just one Marine. Yeah, so this will be interesting, I guess. Reaper is coming across the map. And speaking as if like Clock knows that it's a bot so that you can do this safely, but you really can't do it safely against Micro Machine because Micro Machine uses Reapers, and you may not Reaper all in you, but you'll use them and you'll have Micro with them. However, he is kind of getting cornered here.
Indeed. He will try and sneak out.
I don't think he's going to make it, yeah.
No.
Marine's coming out here.
I do love this map just for that graphic, like the explode and then float up to the surface sort of thing. It's kind of a weird implication from a physics point of view. If you were on the bottom of the ocean when you were alive, why does dying make you more buoyant?
That means for your entire life you've been trying to like force your body down.
Yeah.
You're always having a downward swim even when you're sleeping.
Yeah. By force of will, you sink.
Doesn't actually look like it's the right cutoff angle here. This Reaper might have skimmed. No jump down there. Triple racks, which I guess if you are going to open with a really fast CC, a gasless CC at minimum, triple racks is a good follow-up to that. Third CC on the way. Meanwhile, we don't even actually have an expansion yet out of Micro Machine. No, there's an in-base expansion coming now. Okay. So a little surprising that Micro Machine is so defensive right now. I wonder why. Like this is a very late expansion for Micro Machine.
Yeah, it's usually very aggressive in everything it does.
That does sadden me, because that means he won't have the economy to put on a huge aggression that he loves to do. And I feel like Micro Machine needs every advantage he can get if he's going to beat a GM player. So if he's won 16% of their encounters, that means he's 1 in 6?
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
So this is the 7th game they played.
But at least that means he's won 5 of the 6, so we're getting an interesting one, maybe.
Maybe.
We'll see. So it's not like he's lost a bunch.
Yeah, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Some people like, let me just pick the one where I stomp the bot the most for ego reasons. Some people might be let me find the most interesting game to send in. Yeah. Hopefully it's the latter.
We'll see as we get more into it.
Was that a single Marine rush we saw out of Micro Machine? I guess another scout. Does he is facing a third base now as he's getting his own natural. I mean, he does have a nice tank counts, which Lock does not have. Looks like Lock is going to attempt a bio-only style. There is a factory on the way, but perhaps that's just for upgrades. Not sure if he's trying a meme build or not and it's staying on mass bio, or whether this is just his playstyle. Handful of bio coming across the map. There is a bunch of tanks behind that, though.
Yeah, see if that groups up well, but there's obviously a lot here by Luck. If he pushes in too early, this
He's not waiting on the tanks, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Okay, he's not going to fight. I do like that.
Is he going to pull him into bait him? No, he just repeats everything.
Okay, well, that worked out okay as well. Yeah. What we didn't want to see him is him lose that medevac and Marines before the tanks ever got there. So I think what happened, he might have been wanting to do that, but then when he saw the whole army, he's like, okay, that's too much army, even with my tanks, so I'm going to head back home. So everything gets preserved. Good to see. Third base on the way now for Micro Machine, building it on position. I like that. Micro Machine does like to go heavy on the orbitals and rely on his aggression to be his defense, you know? If you're fully on offense and you got your opponent on his back foot, then you don't have to worry about defense. That's kind of the style that Micro Machine has. Fourth base on the way for Lock in the meantime. And yeah, 5 more barracks. Yeah, the factory I think was just to continue upgrades, as he's now getting a armory.
Yeah, makes sense.
Does he have upgrades? Did he get 1-1? I don't see Ninja Bay actually. Oh, there they are. Okay. So with one finishing and armory on the way, he'll be able to jump right into 2-2.
He's moving down to guard the base. Full on Marines.
Yeah, this is going to be mono battles. It's going to be a only Marine style out of Lock. I love it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. As we've seen that in the past, out of some of our other players, Sentry only, and I think basically Phoenix only, but I think he was forced to do something else.
Yeah.
By the end.
It actually ended up being like a pretty epic match. He went to Sentry only versus Aerys. Ended up being a pretty huge comeback by Aerys. It looked like Aerys is dead, and then all of a sudden he got to the right composition where sentries were beyond terrible.
I think the Infestor helped. I think that's when it got to the point that you can really only take one fungal.
But Aerys had like cannons on his side of the map, like offensive nexuses for battery overcharges. Like he was in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, so many sentries can just shut down any fight. So you have to figure something else. He's looking for, I think he expected a base to be there as he moved into that 4th position. It is a bit uncharacteristic that Micro Machine hasn't taken more of the map yet.
Yeah. So passive gain so far, Lock does not want to take the fights into like an entrenched siege tank position, which is smart. And Micro Machine's deciding like, hey, I'm behind an army, so I don't actually want to go to fight yet.
Going in for the backstab here.
Oh yeah, very nice. Nice little run by. I'll get quite a few of those SCVs dead. But a couple tanks did get sieged up, and now he doesn't have a retreat path anymore, so that will all get cleaned up. So pretty even in terms of resources lost probably on that fight. Maybe Lock lost a little bit more. But picking off SCVs is destroying economy, which is a big deal. 22 SCVs down now for Micro Machine, putting him back to 52.
Minerals lost within 50 in the game and only 100 gas on either side.
Okay, but now we got tanks moving forward. Not a lot of bio supporting it, but I would say some. And some is pretty good. You just need enough to allow those tanks to... Oh no, some of them tanks are on siege.
I think he thought there that the front line was unsieged and he could jump on it, but the back line behind the blocker was actually sieged up.
So looks like Micro Machine's done here. As he finishes off those depots, he'll start falling back and going home. He does get scanned at that moment though, so he's going to get jumped on.
And he'll pick up some tanks, but there is still a lot here. And Marines will come back to save their little friends.
Yeah, I think the resiege for Micro Machine is because he decided to go on offense once more.
Yeah.
So when they besieged, his army was coming across the map yet again. So now he did lose a bunch of siege tanks, which kind of sucks there, but at least he'll have a a lot of bio protecting the tanks he has remaining.
Yeah, this is a really good position here. It looks like Locklock's trying to find a way to either get back around and backstab or find an angle of attack on this, but it's hard to get in with that many tanks sieged up.
Yeah, and then if the tanks don't kill that planetary quickly, then this backstab is going to get a lot of damage done while the Micro Machine's kind of stuck in this one position.
There were some tanks, but they're relatively unguarded, and he's trying to make his way back. This, again, may be a one-way trip for Locklock, but if he gets enough SCV and tank damage done, I think it'll be good.
What are the upgrades for Micro Machine? 1-1 on his bio, so he's down 2 upgrades. And at some point he's going to be down 4 upgrades.
Yeah.
But tank count is maining. Oh, nice little high ground siege up here. He's got to back up. Well done, Locklock, by recognizing that.
Yeah.
Smart of him to scan ahead as well. Micro Machine really wants to get across the map, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, Micro Machine much happier when he's on the offense here. Tank gets jumped on. The multiple paths here on this map make this really interesting, and the site blockers throughout. It's not a situation that we get a lot. Like the human, I think, is more aware, obviously, of things like the site blockers and flanks, and the bots sometimes just site blocker just means there's nothing over there.
Thanks, getting some good work done. We're actually seeing biofights go the way of Micro Machine as well.
Yeah.
Like medevacs are something that you know, you think of tanks being the big thing that's Micro Machine's advantage, but medevacs are actually giving them a huge advantage as well.
Yeah, I think they're helping in the vision in these situations too, understanding where the army is located.
It appears like the tank count was heavily reset, unless I'm seeing it wrong. I only see 1 siege tank remaining.
Yeah, he lost about 6 in that last little rally. There were like 4 sieged up on the ramp right together. Starting to get more again, but yeah, 63 Marines on Locklock's side.
I do like how we're not seeing Vikings or things like that out of Micro Machine. He does have a smart enough composition to build it based on what his opponent has.
Yeah, does that stuff in response. Here.
He jump on him, really big shot. Micro Machine. And actually continuing through, I love that idea because he does have actually a bio lead here. You see Locklock is scooting around on the north side trying to counteract. But really, he's just going to be walking through barracks. There's no base to intercept over there.
Yeah, and I think if Micro Machine just kind of goes on this side, doesn't pull back when this happens, he may be better off. See if he is going to come to try and deal with it. Tanks on both sides here helps this time. One will be cleared up.
Yeah, 3 tanks went down without a single shot going off. That's pretty big again for Locklock.
And he doesn't really make a beeline back. He's really hesitant in the middle of the map to even come home. And just straight up lose the base here.
Yeah, losing a factory as well.
Getting into the main SCV line. Again, it will ultimately be a one-way trip, but this one definitely did enough damage. And just,
and that's perfectly fine. Locklock's got plenty of economy. Like, look at his resource or his army supply right now. He's still maxed out, so losing these Marines does not hurt him at all, as he can just hold down the A key and continue making more Marines.
Yeah, he's already got another whole group streaming in towards the bottom corner. And this one may be overwhelming unless Micro Machine responds in that direction right away and pre-sieges. But I think he's just going to be able to stem in and take this base out before anything happens. Micro Machine's going on the other side.
Yeah, once again, Micro Machine getting caught out in the middle of the map. And if he retreats once again, which he's going to, then it's just more free kills, I guess. There is some bio and tanks on this side, I guess, but
not nearly enough.
Yeah, I think we're going to see another dead command center. Maybe 2.
Our SCVs are under
Alright, Locklock he's found the method.
yeah, just these well-timed backstabs when you've got Micro Machine in the middle of the map, and then he's just very aggressive with the stimming, as you can see, basically stimming himself to death, knowing that there's no chance these Marines are coming back home, but taking every bit of damage you can on the way. And we're down to 8 workers on Micro Machine side.
Yeah, the backstabs are working well for Lock, but especially the last 2 times, he also got lucky. The Micro Machine just happened to be pushing across the map at the exact same moment, so... Once again, Micro Machine still wants to stay on the offense, which is surprising. He was staying back when his army was smaller, I think. Maybe he doesn't actually know about Lock's army, because the army he knows about is dead.
Yeah.
Now he knows about it.
Going in for the kill this time. He's not really even able to replace workers or anything at this point.
Yeah, and you had to fast forward. I think that's the beginning of the end here for... Oh, actually, it's probably the end of the end for Micro Machine. Medevac's still alive. They probably repaired a lot this game, but... GG.
I don't know where the last building was, but it died. So yeah, pretty good one. Again, like you said, mono unit play style, but it worked really well. All about kind of control path. Like, this is a really good map for this game.
Yeah, there's so many paths
made
across
it
the
a
map.
lot more interesting.
Yeah, if it were like Ghost River or something, where you basically have to walk through the middle, the same path, everyone, that'd be a different story. Yeah, and like even like that first attack where he had 6 siege tanks in range of the planetary and didn't kill it, well, Lock was fighting on the other side of the map. That could have been a big deal if he took out that base. But yeah, the fact that his attack, like Machine's attack did nothing, and Lock's counterattack just destroyed him, was pretty rough there. Well done though, Marines only. Mono battled his way past one of the top bots.
Yeah, so the humans have officially won, but we'll still get into the 5th game, which is going to be Cognite versus Aerys. Cognite has submitted games with us before, and I think some pretty good ones. So, but Aerys, very tough opponent. So Cognite again, another GM player, and Aerys quite strong. But we'll see. Part of me metagames the what's this going to be of if Aerys wins, then if I was production, I would have put this first, so that you have a decider match. But I don't know if they looked at. I know the Drekken didn't watch them, so I don't know whether this order was picked randomly or not, because we usually also go by rank, like from lowest to highest. So don't know. But let's hop into game number 5 and find out.
Aerys.
There's a season where people sent in replays and we had a mix of wins and losses.
Yeah.
And then in the ProBots, we just showed the humans 5-0 the bots.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, that's often not been done. I've encouraged him in the past to like make it dramatic on purpose, but so far we haven't really.
Yeah, when I saw
that.
the 5-0, I'm like, okay, I guess the bots didn't win any games at all. But then a month later, when I actually looked at the replays, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's actually some good games here.
So Cognite was going back and forth here around the front. I don't know whether he's looking to do anything here. He's already making Stargate at home. I think maybe just trying to find the timing of the 3rd or something.
Yeah, maybe blocking as long as he can.
Yeah.
Is that a planned split of the Ling and the... Pretty good if it was. But Adept arrives, so... Oh no, he thinks it's like a cannon rush or something. Oh, disaster. Even focusing the cannons beyond it, or the pylons before anything else.
Yeah, maybe the bait out. He does drop the hatchery down in the fire position. So he, I guess, wanted to still do that. But the Adept will get a bunch of free kills there, 5 of them.
And he builds another pylon.
Yep.
Come on, guys. If you find a glitch in the bot, don't abuse it. It's just gonna make for poor games.
Adapt into
You're a
the main
grandmaster.
there.
You can win it straight up. You
Yeah.
don't need to abuse the the bad logic. I even thought it was bad manner that he stuck around there to kill the drones. He's
Yeah.
like, just pull back and let the
Right.
pylon die.
Yeah. Yep. So are regrouping up. I'm not sure if he's aware that that base went down in the bottom or not.
It doesn't appear
No-
to. Going to lose
no
both of his new
drones.
creep tumors, unfortunately.
Well, there, turnabout's fair play.
Yeah.
Ling taking out the probe, trying to put a new nexus down.
Very nice pro pull there. Actually pulling away from the shades, which is nice.
Yeah.
So he has some logic there too. Consider the shades a threat, not just the depths themselves.
Oracle coming in, going after drones here as well.
Yeah, a couple
Queen's
queens
on
on him,
the
so
other
he's
side,
taking some
though.
hull
Yeah.
damage, but getting a lot of drones in the process.
Total work count only 25 on Aerys' side. So, I mean, I guess we say, like, obviously you're trying to punish the Aerys fairly early greed, and this has definitely thoroughly done that with 15 dead drones and 5 linked.
But joining up again is Aerys. He still has some queens, so I think he'll be able to handle another round of adepts and
Yeah.
oracles.
Going for the burrow this time too. Maybe increase survivability a bit. And I don't know if, still don't know if Cognite is aware that a base did go down, so he may think he has them on 2 at the moment. But they're the one-shot double beam on the drones.
I think oracles are so bad in the bot meta that
Yeah, that people
there's no logic to build a spore when you see
Yeah,
an oracle.
okay.
Like, oh, I don't care
You'll
about
find-
those. Those are.
You'll find out now if you didn't know before.
Oh yeah, might find out by losing his oracle. No.
Yeah,
Queen kited backwards, unfortunately, instead of stepping forward to finish him off. But third base on the way for Cognite, and he has a nice worker lead, which is not what you want as a Zerg player.
no, ideally not. Getting a bunch of roaches on Aerys' side with a robo coming for Cognite. 3 oracles patrolling around, and we'll take out some creep tumors.
Does Aerys have logic for knowing that he's revelated? Is the question. Because usually not a form of detection that's used much in the bot meta. So hopefully his burrowed roaches don't think that they're safe when they have revelation and are burrowed.
Yeah. Does it show up the same way? It's not like the detection layer, is it?
No, it's a buff on your unit. So it's not one of those
Yeah,
things that we can't see. We know it's there. It's just
But it's
I think SharkBot's the only bot that uses revelation for detection. I'd assume Aerys has that logic built in. There's one bot that can abuse that,
then you
or
gotta-
there's one bot that can hurt him if he doesn't have it. Then he would have fixed it.
Stasis goes off on a single wing there. Stalkers moving on down, but the roaches are not interested in just going across the map. Although they're
No.
going back now. That
Yeah,
there's an
they see
attack.
one stalker and they're like, let me
Yeah.
go back. There's a revelation to grab that roach. But roach is being annoying on the other side. If I can get into that drone line. Looks like Aerys is going to get knocked back to 2 bases, however. Well, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe over
How much
there.
energy is on those oracles? I think Revelation's super cheap now, right? This is only 25 energy.
Yeah,
But he spends a lot of energy on like stasis wards, so
yeah, and really only grabbed the 2 roaches in doing so. So it looks like he will be able to hold that spot.
yeah, and like this has to go perfect for Aerys because of the lead the Cognite has. I don't think he got much in the way of worker kills on the other side of the map, so he might have killed a stalker or 2, but I don't think those roaches did much.
Yeah, he's still burrowed there, preventing further expansion. But
Yep, and taking another one of his own.
yeah, if Aerys could get back up to like the economy he wants, it's still potentially a problem.
Yeah, and burrowed roaches is that like utility of like yeah, maybe I can just
delaying.
win a fight very easily and then allow me to get my economy going again.
So roaches are, they'll see this army, but they're very out of position at the moment. They'll swing in, nice warp in of 2 zealots in the main, but main fight in the middle of the map. Looks like a concave there.
Yeah. I mean, I find you don't get a lot of harass damage done versus
Yeah.
Aerys because the ability to burrow workers means
Yeah,
it's really hard to
cuts
kill
down a
them.
lot of
Like just with a harass force, you really need detection with a harass force as well, which is the easiest thing to have.
And I think Aerys taking the army supply lead for the first time in a while there too. After that mid-map engagement, while we were seeing the zealots, these get cleaned up pretty well. Again here too, there is a group of oracles again behind here.
Yeah, it looked like Aerys is going to like spend that moment of time he had to drone up again, but he actually built a ton of roaches and lynx, and that's another way of doing it. Like it doesn't build your own economy, but if you can win another massive fight, or if you can hurt your opponent's economy, then that's worth building the army for. And now it looks like Aerys is taking his side up. Interestingly, Aerys doesn't want to retake the base he lost. I guess that like drops the bottom of the list of priority to bases or something.
Yeah, maybe. Revelate here to allow him to go after the burrowed ones. There is a spore in place. He's taken so much damage on all these oracles, but very spread out, so have not gone down yet.
And that does answer my question about Aerys and Revelation. So they're the drones running away instead of burrowing. So they're smart enough to know that burrow is not an option to stay safe. Yeah, so Aerys taking his side of the map, and he's got Broad Ling at the 5th and 6th base of Cognite. The only issue with this map is that there's not many bases on it, and it's very easy to split 50-50 one side against the other, which means Aerys is going to have to be cost efficient in a really long game, and I'm not sure if that's like the biggest strength of Aerys. The biggest strength of Zerg in general, actually. It's hard to be cost efficient.
Hydra's coming out joining this. Ravagers too are now part of the army, and the Warp Prism kind of pulling things back, but really haven't gotten much done with those zealot drops.
Yeah, I'm actually like, if I'm cheering for Aerys, I'm actually happy that Warp Prism's not going down.
Yeah,
because he's not getting any drones with it. He warps in, maybe he'll get a queen if he's lucky, but for the most part, he's just pulled some units back, but he's just like bleeding resources every time he does a warp in there.
Cognite moving out on the map. He's potentially walking into a bit of a surround here.
Actually landing those files. There is, I'm not sure if there's storm, but there is quite a few immortals here.
Archon's going down there. They were kind of vulnerable as these stalkers kind of had to warp or blink away. Even the Templar on the slow retreat, but Aerys does not chase. We'll just pull back.
Not a bad fight for us. You see roaches against immortals and Templar, and you think, okay, that's not going to go well, but pretty good.
Yeah, you got kind of the high value stuff up front. Got a good angle on them. The lurking routes. There is cannons there, so I'm sure he could see them, but they're just very in range.
Well, there wasn't any cannons in the back of the mineral line, so not only did he get a couple worker kills, but he forced him to build another cannon. So, oh my gosh, those Zerglings got roasted by his own biles.
Happens. They're just there to die.
Not the best place to fight.
Not a good angle here.
Although I guess the zealots aren't getting much surface area either, so that's something.
Needs to pull back out. Army supply in Cognite's favor, as he'll burrow a few of these away. I think
he's being harassed at his new base, and Aerys has the entire side of his map, so...
The zealot harass happening again, but he's right on top of it right away.
Now, this is the big problem, though. That was such an overwhelming victory, is can he just move across the map and win? Or move across the map and do devastating damage? A lot of lings being produced to deal with zealots. Why are they doing so poorly? What's the upgrades look like? No attack melee upgrades for Aerys, and he's warping in. He's making a bunch of Zerglings. Not the
He's
Just
going to
trying
lose
to
this
units.
middle base yet again. And yeah, I don't know if he's got the bulk to really engage this. The Wings kind of doing the run by here, trying to group up. The Zealot's still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Zealots are doing really well because he's got such a massive upgrade advantage over the Zerglings.
He's
I don't
about-
mind the Zerglings to deal with the Immortals and
Yeah.
Stalkers, I guess. Maybe he built them because he was behind an army supply and you can build Zerglings really quickly. But
got
I would have loved
the-
to see Roaches instead, actually. Especially if you're going to be fighting the Zealots first.
Army pushing in now. He's getting on top of the tech. He already took out the spawning pool, which is being rebuilt. But now getting the Hydra Den and kind of everything else here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there were some advantages there for Aerys, but just losing that one battle so decisively meant he wasn't able to handle the counterattack. Zealot Warpin slaughtering the low upgrade Zerglings, and Aerys had like every base. He's taking the bottom base of the Cognite.
behind him,
If he
yeah.
could have solidified that defense somehow, it would have been a good spot for him.
Yeah, I think started so far behind, going back to that initial like pylon block
that doesn't
and,
help
and
either.
everything. Yeah, just ended up, 15, 20 workers behind right out of the gate. Didn't have anything to deal with it.
GG.
There you go. So the humans will overtake Skynet for the time being, but yeah, one bot victory there, showing potential for the future. And I mean, again, it was August 29th, 2024 that it became self-aware, but I don't think it actually struck till 2029, if I recall. But,
Remember,
there was the self-aware point, but yeah, there was Judgment Day. I'm gonna look that up. 2029 was something, but yeah, so maybe it was. It became self-aware and instantly annihilated humanity.
And then it also depends what timeline we're talking about too.
Yeah, true.
I know some of the
True.
later movies change things.
Yeah, I've lost track. Yeah.
I guess Terminator kind of ended at Terminator 2, right? We don't count anything after that.
Yeah, that was the good one. But I always use that as the example of like one of the best sequels of all time in any movie. But
I always wonder if they kept it secret, the fact that Schwarzenegger was like the good guy in the second movie,
Yeah.
or whether that was we watched trailers and you just knew.
Yeah, true.
Because the way they started T2, like you makes you think like the cop is the good guy. You never see him like morphing or anything, and then you think Schwarzenegger's the bad guy until they meet.
Yeah, probably.
Like it was spoiled for me, obviously, but I'm wondering, like, if you saw that in theaters, would you have would that have been a surprise?
Trying to think when that was, because I definitely saw that as a kid, but not in the theater. I wouldn't.
Yeah, me neither. I was too young.
VHS or something. But yeah, good times. Yeah, so there we go. So I think we're probably kicking to a break before we get into the finals itself.
Yeah.
So we will cut to that now, and we will be back with Aerys versus Xena for our best of 7 grand finals of the actual AI versus AI thing, and we'll see which one actually becomes Skynet.
There you go.
So be right back.
All right. We're back. I actually jumped the gun before we even started, but we're back to the second half of 2024 season 2 grand finals, and I'm glad you stuck around with us, because I don't know if you watched that human versus ProBots. I actually was on my seat, especially with the SharkBot game. I was like, yeah, we're gonna bring this back. But still, Micro Machine and Aerys showed it that they aren't to be snoozed on either. So welcome back to the table, everybody here, and Assured and Ketrock. We're back for the grand finals.
We are, and chat called out that we didn't say I'll be back.
When
talking about the Terminator,
missed
and
opportunities.
but yeah, it's I don't know. It's low hanging fruit. We don't always go route one.
Well, next time, well, there are more opportunities, more than enough opportunities to to bring that up. But either which way, we're here in the grand finals. And what a finals it's been. It's been 7 weeks of bot on bot action to see which one will stay and which one will go. Only one can survive. I have the power, etc., etc. But we could actually take a look at how we got here. Why don't we? Well, we don't have to do the rectangles, but let's see the.
It's still going to be rectangles.
It'll be rectangles, but let's see the bracket.
You can't
take
bracket. Rectangles away from me.
No, you are the king of rectangles. We'll see.
Yeah. See, look at them. Look at the descending rectangles. The rectangles arranged in a triangular shape.
When you put that, I'll never unsee it again. But yeah, Aerys took down Tier in a strong and powerful 2-1, which could have gone either way. BenBot versus SharkBot, 2-1. Xena versus Micro Machine was a 2-0, and 12 Pool Bot versus Zozo. 12 Pool Bot taking out Aerys earlier and bringing him down to the losers bracket, which
unexpected to say the least.
Crazy unexpected. Yeah. And then we got here into the semifinals. Aerys going against BenBot 3-0. Yeah. And that was it had like a rocky start in the sense that you couldn't, start off, you weren't quite sure which way would go, but Xena versus 12 Full Bot, that was also a mashup of random versus unpredictable.
Yeah, that was interesting. That could have gone interesting. There's a few things I think where 12 Full Bot had opportunities against Xena's Protoss, that it just kind of chose to attack the first buildings it saw, but it had like a chance, if it had the logic in it, to take out a Artosis pylon and depower everything, it could have just won. So
we need to start having coding in the checking for Artosis pylons. It's like I feel like Ketrock, is that in the API? Can you tell if a building is powered only by one pylon?
Well, for opponents, it'll be tougher. You'd have to look at the rate. You'd do a range check. You'd have to figure it out yourself. But if you're a Protoss bot, there's probably some, like, I know, like, there's an is powered Boolean that's on structures. I'm not sure if you can tell how it's powered or what's powering it. I don't know if that's in there or not. But anyways, you can do the same logic a human can. You can see here's where the structures are, here's where the pylons are. If I kill this pylon, I'm going to depower 4 structures. Yeah. So you could definitely go after Artosis pylons. You just have to code for it.
Yeah, you just have to make your own kind of solution. But
I kind of want to see if that'll be expanded on. Like 12 Pool Bot is obviously out now, but made it to the semifinals with code that was essentially could fit on a napkin. if he chooses to flesh that out at all and add in a few of these, like, just relatively small decision-making things, then I think it could go even further.
And keeping in mind that 12 Pool Bot is actually the same bot author as Phantom Bot. So, I'm sure there was a level of which they moved elements back and forth or took parts of it. And probably
it almost feels like it was intentional simplicity. Yeah, because it's not, like, usually when you get a really small one like that, it's like, oh, it's a new author or something like that. That's not the case here. So it may be a thing that he was intending on simplicity, like that was the project.
Basically. Or he wanted to test something. He really wanted to test something specifically, and he didn't want to run it in his main bot, and it just so happened to qualify. So there's a chance that it was either or. But we can take an opportunity and we can talk a little bit about our bots. Let's see. Sorry, just moving around. Our brackets moving around.
Highlighting.
Highlighting everything on this. So I actually want to take a look and see if we can take, I'm hoping production has it for us, some elements of some of the games that we got here. And I would love to have a chat with you guys before we get started on how our bots, how Aerys and Xena did leading up to it and what to expect. So let's see if we can get a little bit of a preview of what we saw before. Oh, that's not what I was expecting. Oh, there we go. Here we go. Whew. Xena.
Transition.
Yeah, into 12 against 12 Full Bot. This was earlier.
Yeah, and this is one of the ones again where if 12 Pool Bot had maybe a little more like logic to it, it was doing a good job initially at keeping the marine numbers down, and then this too in the early rush totally got distracted by a probe and just ended up chasing it when there was an opportunity to crash the front and just take buildings out or workers.
But on Xena's side, we did see some really good decision making on.
Yeah.
I want to stay back until my army is at the correct size. I know I can beat them, and then push forward.
For sure.
Then
Here we
again,
see Aerys getting bunker contained and having a really nice defense to this, with rushing out Ravages as quickly as possible and staying at max range, not losing anything to that bunker, which so many bots would just slowly walk all their units to death into.
Exactly. People underestimate the defense of ignoring things. Sometimes, like, just wait. If it's not pressing, it's not going to kill you yet. Just leave it until you have what you need.
that feels like hard for a bot, because you would have to code it to respond to situations, and so you would, I guess, if you created a threat detector, right, you could maybe give it a calculation of how likely combat simulator level of how much damage is this going to do. Can you run a simulation like that? I guess not without being inefficient, but like how much likelihood this would like destroy me, kind of.
Yeah.
I guess you'd know, like, whether the bunker's in range of your hatchery or something. You're going to know that. Like, essentially, but if something's out, if it's literally not currently attacking you, the fact that it exists, and there's obviously a response that's coded in, like, I'm going to get up to Ravager and I'm going to do this. So it's not like you're not responding.
Right.
You're just not suiciding. And whereas a lot of them just are like, I got to deal with this right now with no plan. But, you know, instead, Aerys is like, okay, here's the plan. And I'm just going to execute the plan.
Even as sitting in wait might be interesting if they just, you know, retreat all your units back and allow something to sacrifice or destroy. But then that's going to require a level of logic to, again, whether or not it can decide whether, like, the implications of something being there. Like, you know.
And your logic's usually generic, right? So like, if there's attacking enemy units in my main base, I need to be fighting those units. And I need to be pulling SCVs probably to be fighting those units. But if they're cannons, I don't want to be doing any of those things. So something that makes sense if there's like Marines in your base is not something you want to do if there's cannons in your base. And
I was
like
just
you
really...
said, you can do nothing because cannons can't walk forward and kill you. So
yeah, and when I was extrapolating on the idea of, I know a lot of influence maps and pathfinding will be able to determine like whether or not a path is safe, right? And so being able, like, if there's the ability to even extrapolate, if so and so puts a bunker here, is this likely for me to, you know, what is the likelihood of, you know, how safe am I guess is the, you know, being that logic. That obviously logic feels abstract, but I'm just throwing it out there to curiosity of how would one accomplish that idea of how safe are you if so and so happens. So all right, so that, before you get in there, predictions, gentlemen, predictions of what we're about to see in this best of 7. Ender Short, start us off.
So I'll outright predict not a sweep because of the Xena randomness. So, but I do probably predict an Aerys victory. But I would think maybe at least a one game going to Xena where it hits a good early timing and is able to disrupt Aerys's early greediness. But maybe 4-1.
Truck.
yeah, I think Aerys is gonna crush. But let's see what Xena's built. He might have come up with some ideas against Aerys. I mean, like, if you're in ProBots and you want to win ProBots, you got to think of how to beat Aerys, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to think about how to beat 12 ProBot or how to beat BenBotPC or how to beat Xena. Like, everyone's focus is on Aerys. So if Xena came in and they put effort into winning this ProBots, you know he's going to have something strong for Aerys.
And if you're lucky, if you focus on Aerys, you'll probably capture all the other Zerg bots, right? There's a likelihood that if you've coded to beat Aerys, there's a good chance you'll capture a scenario that another Zerg bot will fall into, or some sort of you know.
My bots has faced a lot of cheese because people have built cheeses for Micro Machine. It's like, let me just try this against Kutshark too. Oh, there he dies as well. Good, cool.
And in terms of map selection, we have all maps available for this game. Is there any particular map that you think might not be good for Aerys?
Might not be good for Aerys. Possibly some of the ones where there's like ramp down and ramp up to the third, because it relies on basically taking 3 early bases. If someone's aggressive in that and can kind of sit in that middle zone, catch drones transferring, get in the middle of reinforcements regrouping, that can possibly work. So maybe that, but I don't know. I don't think there's a particular weakness that's going to be a big problem.
Yeah, I think like we saw in the human versus bots, I think Ghost River will probably be the weakest for Aerys. It's a very easy map to split in half, and then Aerys isn't that great in terms of cost efficiency. It also means Aerys, he can't expand in multiple directions. Like he can't send out units in multiple directions. It's kind of like one path around, or you have to go further away. So it's hard for him to do those like zergling backstabs and stuff. It's probably gonna be a lot more direct conflicts, and direct conflicts can go really well if you have a high tech Terran army or high tech Protoss army.
All right, absolutely. And those are, and I guess we're gonna see. I don't know if we had some messages in from one of the authors, but I'm not gonna bring it just up just yet, because what I want to bring up is, remember, hit that subscribe and like button, because if you like what you see here, we need all the power of the algorithm. If it's not Judgment Day for humans, it's definitely can be Judgment Day for the algorithm, because YouTube is a cruel mistress. Either which way. Also, exclamation mark, join in the chat, because yeah, there is no sponsor. It is powered here by humans like you. Absolutely, because these bots, for I don't want to say $1 a day, because it's not $1 a day. You too could make the bots live on forever, but some fractional number a day will help keep these bots running and these on the lights on for ProBots for seasons to come. And there's still one more season for this year. So yeah, there's the 2024 season 3 finals, which we're aiming to have it will be a live finals December 14th and 15th in Toronto. So don't forget, details still coming up, giving some time for guests and names, and I can make a big reveal. So still getting some time, but keep an eye on our socials, keep an eye on here on YouTube, keep subscribed. You'll see it in the YouTube posts and whatever, the release of the tickets and events and locations and all that stuff. But keep that date clear, December 14th and 15th, and flights to Toronto. Keep your eye on those two. All right, either which way, I'll let you guys go into the casters to take over. Go.
All right. So yeah, we are going to be. Do we have the stat stuff? Again, we can run through that. I think people have seen these guys a bunch, so probably not many surprises there. But Xena, of course, our random bot in this, which is a little harder to code for sure, as you have to deal with a whole bunch of matchups to be able to do that. And we've seen Xena kind of transition a little more from being only focused on kind of earlier game wins, and now kind of has been a lot more robust in terms of macro games and kind of getting into the mid to later game. But strategy overall here still listed as aggressive. Weak this late game. I don't think this is as true anymore. I think there's been a lot of updates to the bot. And then the thing that makes it special is that Xena is the best of being Xena. Just high self-esteem.
That is true.
Yeah. But yeah, good resource management system, etc. And yeah, it's built on Haskell, the only one that is. So from scratch, no frameworks.
Yeah, definitely the coolest of all the languages that any bot's built.
Yeah, all unique.
It's like we're functional programming, and we're like the OG.
Yeah. Makes sense. And Aerys on this side is coded in Python, multiple wins in the past. There has 3 trophies. It is reactive, and I think you could see some of that in the human games too. It's really good at stalling out the progress of the other bot, like just kind of knowing when to build units, when it can get away with droning, how to counterattack, where to meet it on the map, like how to just kind of stall out any progress that the opponent is making. And yeah, focuses on long-term cost efficiency, eventually gets up to infestors, which it uses pretty well, and gets into Viper and everything else, and and hates the term hard-coded,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, it's hard to have a label for bots that aren't machine learning. We use like scripted and hard coded, but it's not scripted and it's not hard coded. You know, they're still making generic decision making. It's just it's just not
dynamic and whatever.
It's not using AI models.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's basically all there is, and we may end up getting any of the maps. As you can see there, we allowed vetoes earlier, but on this you're kind of stuck that you've got all 7 maps in rotation. So it looks like we are going to be starting on hard lead. Lead also very dense, will protect against any radioactivity that there may exist on the map, and so on.
Not that hard though, is it? Can't you get bend?
Yeah, lead
Like
is
the lead?
soft. It's one of the softer metals, and that's what makes it actually pretty useful for things like, protection, armor, bullets, things like that.
Maybe it's
Why
like one
we
of
used to
those-
use lead in a lot of things that we shouldn't have, because then it made people dumb. But there used to be a lot of lead in like paint and gasoline and stuff like that.
Pipes in my school.
Yeah, exactly.
School is a place to make people dumb, right? So
Exactly. So, but maybe the fact that this map has harder lead means that you don't get the lead flex off. It's kind of in the middle. It's not as bad as like mercury, things that we used to use mercury for.
One of those 1H pencils, right? It's still lead, but it's a harder version of lead.
Yes, exactly. Graphene. We're going on hard graphene. So let's hop in now, kick off this grand finals.
Aerys.
All right, so jumping right into it, I do see something out in the middle of the minimap, and it's being attacked. Okay.
There's a proxy pylon there, gets spotted, and lings are already in place. The probe was looking to maybe put something down when that finished, but I don't think it would get up anyway, so he's probably better off to have been killed, although another probe going out. If the stalkers get out there to defend this, maybe we'll use it as a forward position. I don't think they're going to make it in time, but I think this is meant to be the forward location for some sort of launch off point.
Yeah, I have a bad feeling that this is meant to be a 4-gate, and now we don't have the 4th gate, because the 4th gate was supposed to be proxy for the fast warp pins.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be like a 1 base all in, but it's only a 3-gate, so it's really not that threatening. Which that will be rough if that's the case here.
Yeah, I think
so. Yeah, rough times. I mean, 4 gates versus Zerg is hard to begin with, but this is gonna make it so much harder. However, if he takes out the 3rd, takes out some creep tumors. That's a nice little start.
Yeah, you still can't quite underestimate this. If you've only got lings to deal with this, and it's not a big enough number, although that looks like a pretty big number, then you can definitely still be in trouble. But he gets a good chunk of these stalkers there. These really can't split up at all, is the big key. If they have room to be surrounded, then it's trouble.
Yeah, I mean, the initial fight kind of got to do whatever they wanted, but there's still so many Zerglings left over, and if we look at the production tab, there's nothing but Zerglings on the production tab for Aerys. So every fight is just going to get better and better, and Zerglings are very, very good versus Stalkers.
And maybe this is the signal to cancel this attack, as and again, with
I love that line.
Yeah. with no forward pylon there. That was just doomed to be. Like usually the way that plays out is you go in, poke, attack, you warp in back, you retreat to that warp in point where you've got fresh reinforcements, and it accumulates. But you can see there, probably because they're not in the place they expected, those weren't even coming with them. They were just completely on the other side of the map. There was nowhere to go to.
Okay. I was hoping for Xena's sake that he might trick
Just
Aerys into droning again, but
Yeah,
Aerys has
that.
still just been building nothing but Zerglings. Throw down his third hatchery, but no drones at all. So, yeah. I guess if Xena actually was transitioning back at home, that would have been nice. With Aerys building nothing but Zerglings forever.
There, I think, yeah. Too much damage, I think, come back with now. Losing most of these
Yep.
on their way home.
Would have been interesting to see what would have happened if the proxy actually got up
Yeah.
and unspotted. Then you would have had the 4 stalkers at a time with the 4 warp in.
Yeah, unspotted, it would get bad really quick if you didn't know. And even spotted, if it just had gotten up and these reinforcements were there, then it's still a lot closer. It's still just good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still think holding down the Zeke though would be really good for Aerys, even with the extra weapons. But certainly a 3-gate versus pure Link is going to be very, very rough. Meanwhile, he has gone back into joining now. He does count that the stalker count is extremely low, and he doesn't need any more Lings. He's got enough to win the game, even though he's transitioning. Nice micro out of the stalkers, I will say. However,
yeah, it's a tough one there too. Your stalker micro is very often based on pulling back and splitting, but against a big group of Lings, that's not always what you want to do. Sometimes you need to stay grouped. But then, once it get the small numbers, it's good again. So,
yeah, I don't think Cena was like really fanning out the stalkers. It was just like as he was pulling back between shots, some stalkers were getting surrounded, and that. Like if you look here,
it's
they're
not like
together,
a super
so they're not in a
spread,
group like a human would, but they're not. At least they're not fanning out.
Yeah, pretty harsh shutdown right away to spot that, and then kind of his own stalkers, I think, like you said, blocking, I think, where a pylon was intending to go back up, and he just never quite got it going. So a quick game 1 there, but again, we'll get different races throughout this. So going on to Oceanborn next. Again,
Even if he 4 gates again, it could be a different result. It's
exactly.
Like, that was killed so quickly at the start. Maybe he doesn't get that lucky next time. But Aerys is pretty cheese-proof, so it's probably hard to proxy close to his base without him finding it.
Yeah, definitely true.
So we'll hop in next. That's a very similar map, I think.
Yeah, I think
in terms of size and number of bases.
Yeah, again, less oxygen, but it should be fine. Unnecessary anyway. Hopping in to game number 2.
Aerys. Xeno.
And we do get the PVZ again, but does not look like there's the proxy location this time.
Well,
at least not yet. It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't that. Again, we jumped into the other game, I guess 2 minutes in.
Yeah.
And this time we're actually at the start. So
basically, you need your proxy gateway to finish the same time that warp gate finishes. So got to get out there fairly early because you got to build a pylon then the gateway, but it doesn't have to be like start of the game early.
Yeah. True. Yeah, it's definitely after your cyber core that you need it.
So this is 3 gateways actually, right?
Yeah.
None of those can be a cyber. It's too early for that.
Yeah, there it is.
So if it's going to be a 4 gate, you would have to be sending out the...
Yeah, probably right around now. You've basically got the cyber build time and the warp gate time to then get the pylon, the ProBot, the pylon down, and the gateway up. So yeah, that works out about the same.
Third gateway felt early though. If this is like
Yeah.
a well done 4-gate, like a perfectly done 4-gate, I don't
Yeah.
think you want the
Probe.
third gateway that soon.
Probe is going.
I do like how late it is because like the drone
might
scouts are
work.
already done
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, it might be fine. And
Again,
again, you
Overlord's
can.
not going to see it. Okay,
Yeah.
this is looking a lot better. And it's so close to the Zerg base too.
Yeah.
It's such a risky position, but I think it's going to work out.
Yeah, he is chronoing this out. That's the part that may not
Oh,
super line.
What
He's
are they
got to at
doing?
least
Okay, okay.
start it. So
That
if he
might be enough.
starts it and gets the stalkers over, that might work. But he's going to lose. I think he loses the pylon regardless. It's whether or not you can save the gateway and repower it. And I thought when the stalkers came out, they'd just immediately go, and they're not. They're late in getting there. So I think he is going to lose it all. He's still not even really gone. Yeah, they're coming now. They might make it.
I assume they're going
Yeah,
to get distracted
they
by
might
the
make it.
stalkers, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, they're going to stick
Really
on the gateway.
low. It's if he focuses it, obviously he can kill it. But yeah, is he going to get there? Yeah. Oh, he canceled it. Yeah.
He does at least get the forward pylon. So maybe there'll eventually be a fourth gate.
And at least lost a few of the initial lings in doing that.
Yeah.
There's get the queen here.
So no third base out of Aerys, and he is holding down the Z key once again. So
And
Doing the right-
that's a good batch of Z's
reaction this
coming out
time.
there.
actually keeps his queen alive, which I think is a big deal, right? Because injects are directly the bottleneck probably for massing Zerglings, I would think. Depending on the drone count, but oh man, that
barely alive.
one gets so close. Like there's another queen
yeah.
as well, so I think injects won't be an issue anymore.
Second wave coming in. So you get the pylon back up, but he hasn't actually done the gateway, and this probe seems to still be freaking out.
Yep.
So
he needs that. I mean, it's still really bad, even if he does start that gateway.
Oh yeah, it's too late.
At least he has a forward warp in position. I guess that's better than last game. So every attack will be like +3. I have 3 extra stalkers that normally wouldn't.
Yeah, I think the thing now will be, can you turn this into a kind of not necessarily? Yeah, he's doing well here. That was a good pull apart of everything.
Aerys is attacking too frequently when he doesn't have enough. He didn't really stay back and pull up.
Yeah, I think that the one stalker that got behind the mineral line there somehow also distracted a lot of these. And having such short creep, like you could just pull off it really quickly. So this may still steamroll.
Nice focus fire out of those queens. He does capture the 2 low hit point stalkers, but yeah.
I think he's got to watch still moving on, but yeah, it looks like it's going well.
And there wasn't like a lot of drones either, so I think maybe even the bottleneck was the mineral count. And now he's going to lose like all the mining at his natural.
Yeah, he's on top of it now, and these are just going to stream in.
Yeah, and look at all that shields. 14 Lings isn't going to do anything. That'd be when you kill 1 stalker. He's going to lose the natural and I think lose the game. I can't believe this worked out, but it did. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think it was almost the initial thing. Even though he lost his forward gateway, losing a bunch of the initial Lings that were trying to kill it, and then losing like 2 queens that he wouldn't have in the initial like 3 stalker attack makes a big difference there.
Yeah, and I think once Xena got close enough to his natural, Aerys was like forced to defend, or at least that's how he was coded his bot. So he kept defending with not enough Lings. It just put him even further behind, and then all of a sudden there's too many stalkers for him to deal with. Because like if you can clean up all the stalkers, you can even sacrifice your natural base probably, and you'd still be somewhat okay.
Yeah, because they're definitely on 1. Yeah, I think it's this initial push. Like he killed, I'm not sure, but like maybe 6 Lings there, and then the initial 3 that went up got a queen.
So every time you step like this far forward, the Lings attack, even if it was like 10 Lings versus 8 stalkers or something that was like really bad. All right.
Yep. So works
you
for
go.
sure. So already we do not have a sweep. So excellent. We are getting a series out of this one. And going to Gresvin next. Again, the map. It's very often we can like predict how the map's going to change things, but we don't even know the race that Xena's
Yeah.
going to be. So
That's what I love
it's
about that. Like,
yeah,
my brain immediately goes to with the bot meta is okay. So what's the
Yeah.
4-gate going to look like this time?
yeah,
But then
exactly.
because
It's not
Xena's
gonna be.
random, which is awesome. There's
Yeah.
only 1 in 3 chance we'll even see Protoss, let alone
Exactly.
the 4-gate.
So let's just hop in, see what the race is, and we'll talk about it then.
Aerys. Xena.
So we're going to get a proxy here. There's already a drone out scouting in this area that is going to immediately see this.
Will it? Will it?
Uh,
Is it just checking the
oh, wow.
bases? Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Just like an inch away from seeing that. So will not.
I think that's good news. So that
Yeah.
would win GG immediately right there if he just spotted.
Yeah. And that may be calculated. Maybe he knows the scouting pattern and so on. Because yeah, it feels a bit back, but it's pretty close. Like given
Gosh,
where
look
the
at that.
natural is. Yeah.
Okay.
He's gonna get there, but it's
No,
kinda-
I don't think he is.
you don't think he's the
Like,
green line moves.
I think this
but
path is okay
yeah,
as well. I
yeah.
don't think he's gonna get spotted right now.
Not right now, but doesn't he come back through there?
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's too late.
Depends
but
if he goes left or right around
yeah.
those flowers.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's going right. Okay, now he sees
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And right on the
do
SCV.
that, but it is a little bit late. Picking that off will help, but you may have the Marine won't be out quite
Yeah,
in
in time,
time.
unfortunately.
Unless.
No.
Gets it though.
I thought the
Yeah.
Marine might have blocked the drone.
Yeah.
Hero drone gets the final shot.
Yeah, that could be big, but so I think this is going to be that mass Marine, but with a forward position,
Gotcha.
which we saw in previous weeks.
Half proxied, half not.
Yeah, good move. And yeah, will Aerys. So obviously, Aerys seeing this, will it have an appropriate response to it? Still adding on some drones, knows that there's a little bit of time before it becomes crazy. Here going
Oh,
after
with a
the
third
other
Marine,
one.
maybe.
Yeah, are
Oh,
we gonna
no,
get
never
there?
mind.
No,
He's going
we'll
after
abandon.
drones instead. Which I don't mind, but I guess I think he could have had that
I think he
Overlord.
could have too.
One drone down. Two.
Yeah. Going right to a
Three.
Roach Warren in response. Queen on the back. You know, once there's enough Marines, Queens die pretty quick, but on the low numbers, pretty good.
Yeah, he got like 4 or 5 workers, which is okay. He put a lot deep in the red and didn't finish them off, so that was nice micro out of Aerys there. And I
up
think a
front
spine
here.
coming down as well. So this Marine count needs to grow quickly, otherwise he's in trouble. He's got 2 more drones. Like these
Hold
drones
back
are a big
with the
deal.
Queens.
This is going
They
to cut
definitely
the,
are. Yeah.
the army count.
I think he pulled back with the Queens because he really, really wanted to prioritize the inject part of that. And then ended up losing more drones as a result. Spine will get up and start poking, but it's taken a bit of damage before it ever gets felt.
It's focus fire by the spine, hitting the only Marine that you could one-shot.
A little march. He's getting the burrow, which is going to help the roaches that come out. And I think with the spine in place, it's going to be if the roaches can kind of get there burrowed and there's no real response to it, then that could potentially shut this down. But there's still going to be a lot of Marines coming.
Even without the burrow,
Probably.
the roaches have so many hit points on them. It's like 165 or some ridiculous amount, 135. They're such a cheap unit, and Marines do very little damage without their stim.
You may let the spine die here.
Okay, that's something.
Yeah, that does help. Makes it a little less stable in where the front line is. But yeah, a lot of roaches now, transfuses too, and I think we can now get aggressive.
I wasn't watching the production tab. Did you say he has burrow?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's bad news. Even without burrow, it's bad news. Okay, so Xeno's actually expanding behind this, so he's not committed to the full Marines.
Mm. Xena declaring that it is French, however, did not GG right away, which is tradition. And he's accumulating Marines here, maybe for a big push once these get together, but we are getting a CC as well.
Okay, so it's still only at 20 SCVs, however, so what is the expansion about? Is this going to be like macro mass marine? Kind of like
maybe, yeah,
like an old like drill you do to more kind of
Yeah.
macro play.
possibly, maybe acknowledging he needs another orbital for more scans. That would be an interesting quirk. I don't think that's the case, but it almost would make sense.
I would love to see his orbital at home actually to see if he's saving energy for scans or whether.
Nope, going even to
Never
another.
mind.
So yeah,
Here comes the attack.
yeah. Attack
He did save
up.
energy though, enough for 2 scans, but just
A lot
not
of
enough
Marines.
army.
There's way too much stuff, way too many transfuses. The burrows, nothing's gonna die here. Nice scan. They're up front. Ones too.
Roaches healing off on their own, so sea of blue dots out of
another wing coming in.
Nice way to build a concave though. This is something very unique to Xena, which is cool. Individually like standing out.
Yeah. I mean, not bad attacks there, and I think good use of scans to make sure that he couldn't just be out attritioned by the healing roaches, but just not really a way to actually push in.
Only Xena were building workers during this time.
Yeah.
Like if you had like fully saturated 3 bases right now, and even if it's just unupgraded Marines, it still might be enough, like with scans and just the pure Marine count to cause a lot of trouble. Because Aerys is not, like he hasn't saturated his 3rd, so
yeah,
he's been building a lot of army and not a lot of drones.
Now we're getting into that mode. 10 drones were built in that round, and he's expanding. If Xena was also aware of these bases on the side, especially the one below him now, could potentially move to take that out. But yeah, doesn't quite know.
4th command center on the way. Maybe the command center is just like if I have extra minerals, spend it there. Because he's not actually adding on more barracks, so he's adding more income, but he's still only building whatever it is, 6 Marines at a time or something. 5. Pretty micro play. I like the scans.
Yeah.
A lot of things are good about this for Xena, but just missing a few elements to...
Yeah, it's just not big enough. Like, everything he's individually doing is right. Like, and he's getting kills and stuff, which is often the hard part when you get into this type of army that can heal itself, can burrow itself, whatever. He is picking off units. It's just nowhere near enough to turn the tide.
That could be like an interesting play against Aerys too. Like, if you could somehow put the pressure on him while expanding, and you get Aerys stuck in the I'm not going to drone mode for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe like a proxy 4 rack, so then, but you keep making SCVs, and then you throw it on the command center, then, yeah. Some way to trick it by cheesing, but like under cheesing.
He's trying to go for some sort of flank here.
This game's over. Aerys has everything he needs now. Very nice. The question is how fast will the map turn completely purple? Although I will say that's 6 bases for Xena, which is cool if he had anything going for him besides unupgraded Marines.
Yeah, if we were transitioning to something big here.
Oh, here we go. He's actually finally adding on barracks, so that's something. But his worker count's up to 60, which isn't horrible.
Yeah, not bad at all. But yeah, needs to like pack fast. into something completely different, basically.
Yeah, and things like upgrades are going to start making a big difference now. Because I don't actually mind that Xena's not teching up. I think for a strategy like this, you probably want to stay on upgraded Marines and just try to overwhelm. But I don't think you can overwhelm. And then now with Roaches having upgrades as well, it's just, yeah.
He doesn't even know where to go. Like by the time this really attacks, it's just a full surround. There's no way to retreat this.
It's always a tough question with the units. Like when you're getting chased, do you still want to stop to shoot? Or do you just want to run?
Yeah.
Like there, he just ran, and obviously he just died without doing any damage back. But sometimes it's correct to just run without shooting. Sometimes when you stop to shoot, you just die. Okay, Mass Roach. Will one Roach die is going to be the biggest question here.
Yeah, that'll depend on the same thing. Do you even turn and fire at all?
Yeah.
And it doesn't look.
I was thinking the free regen and the burrowing, but
Yeah.
Then now we're asking, like, will one Marine even shoot? Okay, there's a little bit of damage being done, by the way.
I think once they're getting backed up, there's points that they're almost retreating forward, in which case they fire. Aerys Spore Forest.
I think that was built back in the meta where human Zergs are doing the same thing. Just, when you get rich, just start throwing spines and spores like offensively on the map. Yeah, these Marines are not shooting.
Not at all.
Which is fine, they don't want to engage, and that's the correct decision, but
Yeah, I think you're right. Like something you said, I think on Thursday was kind of you could code in something that's like last stand logic, but it's kind of you probably lost by them anyway. So is that something you even want to bother with?
Yeah. I guess if you don't want to attack because you're trying to build up a large enough army to deal with it, you probably need to be a little bit better about keeping your existing army alive.
Yeah.
Somehow. So maybe you shouldn't be like staying on the front line looking at his units. Maybe you should be back further, or
there is that weird habit. A lot of bots seem to do this thing where they don't feel like they have enough, but they just dart in and out of range where they get shot over and over. It seems to be many bots seem to have that issue.
Again, though, Aerys is so good against finding those proxies.
Yeah.
What if that barracks finished?
Yeah.
Because this started like pretty
there.
decent, right? He was getting a lot of worker kills, and what if you add 3 more Marines to that fight from the start?
Yeah. Because it was
like
really
maybe that spine never finishes, right? Maybe those queens go down that have low health.
Exactly. Yeah, the spine finished with about maybe 40% health left, and it was really a race to the roaches. So yeah, had that dropped, it's totally different.
Yeah, I think the roaches still would have gotten out, but like, if he lost 5 more drones and lost all of his queens and the spine and no spine, like maybe that's just too much for the roaches to come back from. But yeah, trying to proxy, you are trying to proxy the bot that's probably the hardest to proxy.
Pretty much.
As the bot with the target on his back, Aerys is very wise to people wanting to cheese him, so now your cheese has to be like pretending to cheese while getting ahead economically or something.
Quite true. So Aerys up 2-1 in this, and we're going on to Site Delta. Once again, not knowing what Xena is going to be, it's hard to know what this is going to be. I want to see the full thing now as EVZ and see if Xena has anything there. Yeah. We've seen with 12 Pool Bot that Aerys can lose to an aggressive Zerg. So
Aerys can beat every complex bot out there, but it loses to the napkin code, as you put it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's hop right in and see what's up.
Aerys. Xena.
Alrighty, so we do get it. It is going to be a ZVZ. Xena has actually gone for the hatchery first here and also pulled an extractor trick. Aerys putting down the hatchery on her side as well.
Kind of showing like how opening build orders can be different for bots than for humans. So he went
Yeah.
extractor trick into hatchery into extractor trick, all without building an overlord. And that would just be terrible for humans,
Yeah.
but since we can speed mine
Yeah.
with bots, it's all of a sudden it's like, hey, that's actually maybe the most ideal opener you can do.
Yeah, both going for the pools. And yeah, Aerys has eked out partial drone lead, although their Xena flips.
Yeah, but being well behind on the both the spawning pool and the hatchery timing, right? So I think that extractor picking was maybe a slightly more efficient opener.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Although I remember Aerys having like non-human build orders as well, where he would do extractor tricks and get things at different times because of speed mining. Double queen for Lings. And the spawning pool will be done in plenty of time to deal with any Lings that are on the way. Speed as well out of Xena. And he pulls off of gas, so this could be a full-on Ling flood.
Yep. Maybe shaping up towards that. Could be interesting. Then you're down to control and anti-greed.
DBZ is always one of those tough matches to know when to drone and when not to. I wonder if any bots are like, let me try to build 30 Lings in secret.
Yeah.
Okay, all of his Lings are right at the front, so that doesn't help. But
no
if
secrets.
if Aerys is droning and you got 40 Lings he doesn't know about, then yeah, actually he kind of did it there, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's hiding some of his Lings. He split some Lings off to run away from the scout. I'm not sure if he still was spotted or not, but I'm pretty sure that's what he was trying to do there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I wonder if that's conscious. To hide, because it seems like you just didn't have to have them up there to begin with if you wanted to hide them, but now they get the full count. And see, when is he going to go across? Obviously, Aerys is responding with 14 Lings on his own, and I think that both of them are going to go in full-on Ling production. But I think this would be maybe an interesting time to do what you were saying of like, what if you just then don't attack? You know he scouted you and he saw that you've got a massive Lings and he's going to do nothing but make Lings until you attack. What if you just don't?
Yeah.
And switch into macro?
Oh, a nice concave out of Aerys with 3 queens behind as well. This is absolutely perfect for Aerys. Not looking good for Xena here.
Yeah, kind of appears to break the front line, but when the army supply is relatively even, but the queens being there and being able to transfuse helps.
Yeah, but he lost a queen, and he used up all of his energy on the queens transfusing.
Yeah. 43 Lings.
So that fight looked as bad as it possibly could have been. However,
Xena
almost broke through and did it.
Yeah, good. Xena at least saying transitioning while doing no such thing. Well, it is making a roach warren though.
That's another way to try to trick a bot. I'm not sure if bots actually read the chat.
Yeah.
I think we have like an unwritten rule to like not read things in chat. Because people do sometimes write little debug messages there, and you could use that to figure out what your opponent's up to.
Yeah, so we'll potentially transition into a different macro game here. Now, both of them at relatively even Ling counts, 37 to 44. But Aerys obviously had the economic advantage. Somehow there, an Overlord died, blocking a little bit. Worker counts ridiculously low on both sides. But it's because of obviously everything went into the Lings.
Yeah, Xena getting the 3rd hatch and saying the word transitioning, but he hasn't actually built any
really
drones. There's 2 on the production tab now.
Yeah.
But a roach transition's interesting. We do have Burrow on the way for Aerys.
Yeah.
Does that mean he already has a Scorch Horn and I missed it, or
An attack here.
Queen
would be
probably
nice.
going down? Yep. But overwhelming
That's-
numbers for Aerys. Of course, you just run away.
Force the pull back. Roaches try and get back to safety, or else they're going to get caught out. Now Aerys on the offensive and potentially overwhelming here, as the queens are going to go down quickly, and there's just not enough roach mass yet to deal with this. They're a little too scared to fight.
I mean, losing the third is perfectly fine for Xena, but I think he might just lose the game.
Yeah.
This might be a lot more than third, depending on how hard
Yeah,
Aerys is
yeah. I
going
don't
here.
think it stops here.
You couldn't saturate that third base anyways. So you can't even saturate the natural yet. Okay, so Aerys goes back home.
Okay.
Oh, I forgot this is one thing Xena does better than any other bot is his creep spread. If you see
Yeah.
the overlords out on the middle of the map, they're
Yeah.
actually spotting for the creep tumors and pooping creep out so you can spread it to maximum distance as soon as you can. That's really neat. You might end up losing a bunch of overlords doing that. I don't know. But
Yeah,
I've never
certainly
seen him
possible.
get punished for it, so it does make him the fastest creep spreading bot in the ladder.
Yeah, we'll see what's Cena attempt to do at this point. Now we're at the 63 workers to 33. Aerys taking a fourth base. There's, if anything's to be done here, it's on a really, really short clock at this point.
Yeah, I think Xena's behind in every way.
Yeah.
Behind an army and behind an economy, so this is where you just need to outplay Aerys, which is a large
Yeah, it's a big ass.
large ask, yeah.
Yeah. Now we got the creep tumors intermingling.
Yeah, I do like how he pulled the overlords back once he got to Xena's
Yeah,
creep,
too.
because now he doesn't need to extend the creep ahead of the tumors anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, he's actually blocking that expansion with the creep tumor, I think. Yeah, he is. Well,
Yeah, I think we're at the point that Xena doesn't have a plan
yeah.
here. So it's going to be up to Aerys on when I think to strike.
I mean, I've seen cats do this before, where the player cats, that is. When you're really far behind, you think, okay, I need to take a risk, so let me just be really greedy. Let me double expand or something. But he does the opposite. He actually stops building economy, builds nothing but army, and sits back, which is a guaranteed loss unless your opponent attacks. And that's what he banks on. So
Yeah.
he stays a low worker count, waits for his opponent to attack, wins that fight, and then bursts back into the game with economy.
Yeah.
But the thing is, even on the lower worker count and building nothing but roaches, I don't think he has enough army to win a fight if Aerys attacks, even with defensive advantage. Ravager's out now as well.
Yeah, it's just going to be hard to get anything going. And Aerys is going to move in now, probably with enough stuff. Although, taking a fight with only half of it up front here.
Which is still a pretty
Yeah,
close
still,
fight.
it's still enough. Yeah, it's still enough because he's got double the army supply. But yeah, not as bad as it could have been. And now the vials will disrupt the rest of this and overrun.
Yeah, I see potential in all these rushes. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
they all could maybe beat Aerys if things go a little bit better, or if a different decision was made somewhere.
Yeah.
So I like the choice of strategies Xena brought to this best of 7. They all seem like they have the chance of winning. Nice.
Yeah, for sure. You can definitely see the potential in it, and it's down to some of the particular engagements that you take. This one, again, having the initial fight being kind of at the top of a ramp with a really, really good concave on Aerys' side definitely makes a difference. But yeah, if you know that you're kind of even on Ling Ling, and then one side has the queens on top of that, then that can be the decider for sure. Yeah, this one.
Oh. Yeah, what if he got up that ramp before
Exactly.
Xena got or before Aerys got the concave?
Yeah.
Because look what happened afterwards. It was like, it was so good afterwards.
Yeah, he got through it with the reinforcements, but it just wasn't enough by then.
But it must have been like 20 lings fighting on one side and only 15 on the other, plus the 3 queens assisting the 20. It was such a bad start. And I think literally that would only happen on site Delta, where they just got that choke point at the natural.
Very true. So we're going to get a rematch of one of these race matchups now, but which one? We've seen 2 Protoss, 1 Terran, 1 Zerg. And going on to Golden Aura, which I think is a pretty, balanced, like there's nothing super crazy about the map. I'm trying to think of proxy locations if we get the Protoss or Terran again. Whether they, but again, I think Aerys is going to spot it essentially no matter where. It's just a matter of timing. But yeah, I don't know. Could be the last one. Let's hop
spots like typically, especially if you're like traveling from base to base. If you travel from every base to every base, there's still gaps on the map where you haven't passed through. So
see, maybe which race do you want to see?
Something new. Let's pull the Zelnaga or something.
Okay, yeah. So Celestials, something like that. All right, let's hop in and see if Aerys is our champion or whether we're going to a game set.
Aerys.
Okay, what did we end up with? Protoss.
Yeah, and we ended up on Equilibrium too. So this has more opportunity. If we're going to get a proxy pylon, it could be down towards the south, which may make a difference. And Protoss, at least, is the one that we've had a win on Xena's side so far. And did it, very importantly, without the actual proxy gateway going up.
Yeah.
So just as long as the pylon was there, that turned out to be enough.
And not just for the fast warp-ins, but he didn't have a 4th gateway.
Yeah.
So he basically won with money in the bank because his 4-gate all-in didn't have 4 gates. Yeah, this map is a little interesting, right? Like all the bases on your side of the map are very kind of tightly placed, so I don't think that drone's going to wander too much out into the middle.
Yeah.
The Overlords might have a chance of spotting things.
Yeah, and again, too, you may get this situation where he scouted whatever he's going to scout before the timing, because it's not an early proxy, it's a delayed one because it's before the gateway.
Exactly, yeah.
And it would be around this time that he should be moving a ProBot if he's going to, and he's going on the south path.
I like that.
Yeah.
Just go up and then place it. No, just going further.
Yeah, even further down. He may actually run into him, swinging up now. It's actually going to be pretty late. I don't know how big that difference makes, but if you're only starting the pylon now and you're far away, is that Overlord on? Okay, that's going to be fine. Is it? No, maybe not.
You'll see the probe for sure. Oh, you only saw the probe. You only saw the probe. Oh my gosh. I don't think Aerys is going to react to seeing a probe. Oh. Okay, now he's spotted.
Yeah. Okay, pylon is up though.
Here's the weird thing: this pylon's really far away from Xena's stalkers, so they have a long way to run to get over there. And I think you're right. I don't think he sends them out. He doesn't send them out probably until warp gate's done or something. So they're not gonna get there in time.
Yeah, they're gonna get distracted by this, but that may be good too, as it will prevent that. But I think he needs to get some alternate location. The issue this time, which was different than last game, there was a site blocker. Now if he gets these 2 stalkers close, they're just gonna die. But that is canceled early. The Lings will clear out of the way as the probe comes back in to rebuild.
We'll never get to see what this 4-gate was in
Yeah.
full force, I guess.
Only partial. I think this longer route of pathing too, I think may play maybe a problem.
Yeah, well, he's going to have the forward warp in position. He'll be slow warp ins, but he'll be forward. He killed off an Overlord. He got to cancel the 4th gate earlier, so that gave him his money back earlier. And I think he got the pylon up faster. So I think the time he won with the 4-gate was better than this game, but this is better than game 1, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
One,
because he just got the pylon up at all, because in the previous game didn't.
The weird thing is he never rebuilds the gateway. It's not because the probe's blocked, it's just not built into the bot somehow.
All right, here's initial Lings. There's a lot of them there to begin with, and there's not a lot of stalkers up front. More are built, they're just not here. Okay, now he's gonna get cut right in the middle.
The Lings do fall back, though. Every time they fall back, that's what the weakness was last time.
Yeah.
That Stalker gets another Overlord kill, that could be a big deal as well. The Aerys does not want to be building Overlords right now. He does get the Overlord, doesn't he? Yeah, I think he did.
I think he did, yeah. Yeah, supply dropped. He's not blocked or anything yet, but he doesn't want to rebuild that. Where's the rest of the stuff, though? I think it's got distracted by the 3rd base. I don't know. Like, where are the other stock? Because they're not. Despite him having this position, he wasn't warping in here. He was just still doing it at home. And and then they're not coming to join. 53 Lings are out at the moment. Only 23 workers still on Aerys' side. Xena could still potentially transition out of this if she wanted to.
Yeah. But this is like Aerys guessing right. Yeah. He doesn't see the stalkers, but he's still building nothing but Zerglings, and that's going to work out well for him.
Yeah. This smaller group gets swarmed here.
Yeah.
And we'll probably lead them to the pylon. That may actually be okay.
Yeah. Because when Xena goes to attack, he goes to attack with everything. Yeah. But the ones that are proxying get into the fight, and the ones that aren't proxied are so far away that they're not joining the fight. Yeah, this 4-gate did not go well.
Yeah.
Put it that way. Okay, Queen off on his own. Free Queen, please.
Yeah.
Nope.
Maybe still. No. One up front.
Go. Yeah, run away. Yeah. No. Oh, and he doesn't attack when he's running away. Oh. Okay. Freedom.
Yeah, I think Aerys keeps kind of letting him off the hook here.
Yeah. He's letting him off the hook because he has so much that he can't die. And that's the big problem for Xena, is that he has so much he can't die.
He could kind of force more of a... Like, if he attacks this, he must be aware of that.
Why is there a forge? What's going on?
Yeah. He did this last time, too, and I'm not sure why. But yeah, it's this mix, too, of, like, he's getting some here and he's warping some in at home, and they're not together. Like, at least if these were all together, you could take a stand. And if you get really good positioning or the Lings don't act right, then maybe you could do something, but...
So Aerys is making the correct decision of going back to droning now. Yeah. He has more than enough Zerglings to deal with everything that Xena has, so why not even get further ahead economically? Xena is attempting to expand himself, and there's actually a Twilight Council on the way, and +1 attack, so...
Shrine. I think in the last
cool
game,
play
I think we saw this go into Dark Shrine last time, but we didn't get there. But I think that was the direction.
One behind.
Work. Lings coming in from the north.
Zergling now.
Yeah. They still don't quite want to commit. we'll just go all the way back home to the main and expand again. And he's got eyes on it to make sure, like, he knows that Xena's not expanding either. So yeah, I think Aerys, while it's the super overcautious decision, he doesn't have to be doing this stuff. It is the super safe thing. He's aware of everything that's happening.
Okay, let's blink this time.
Yeah.
I almost wish you would do something with the stalkers that are proxied, because they'll just die instantly to the Zerglings anyways. Oh, he's joining up.
Yeah.
It looks like.
So,
That would be
another
nice.
Nasser.
Don't attack until the other ones arrive, please.
One Ling was just waiting for everyone else to leave.
There's no blink. Oh my gosh, I just looked at the Zergling count. It was 130 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you max out on Stalkers, that'll be to max out of
Yeah.
Zerglings, I think.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where the
Yeah.
surface area becomes an issue for Zerglings. Yeah, no blink yet. He does have +1 though. I
Yeah.
think that's probably handy. Oh, but he's not attacking.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah, this is where, like, okay, yes,
We're
retreating
done.
is the right choice, but you got to be attacking while you retreat.
And he kind of does this ring around the rosy back into danger.
Because I guess the pylon's still the retreat point since
yeah,
he never
I
died.
think they're- yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think he would have been better off had that pylon died a lot earlier, and then this is the base again. Got a few columns of Lings coming in.
I wonder if Aerys is so good at finding proxies because he would die if he doesn't find it. I wonder if that's how it works with him.
So the overwhelm here now, and things are running around the main. We're going to have Aerys as champion for the 4th time, I believe. And doing so, not quite swept, but in pretty dominant fashion, taking out each of the different races of Xena.
Very nice, very nice.
Probes kind of surviving.
Congratulations, Xena. Congratulations.
Aerys, yeah.
Aerys, I gotta say. That was Xena too. I mean, that was a really deep run. Making it all the way to the finals. And just taking a game off Aerys is no small task.
Indeed. Yeah. So no.
And Aerys,
no
is this
clean sweep.
championship number 4 now?
Yeah, I think this is number 4.
So what does that make him tied with Tier or one ahead of Tier?
I think it. Oh, it is 5th time. 5th time.
It's
Oh yeah. So I think
put him
this
ahead, I
is,
guess.
Yeah. I think he had enough that we on our card didn't have enough spot for all the champions.
Yeah. Especially if you want to add like second places and things like
Yeah.
that.
Exactly. Yeah, probably the highest average finish of every bot. So, yeah, slowly kind of savoring the end here. not
Why not?
not quite closing it out, but will do. And yeah, at least got to see what Xena had to offer, and I think that bot, with, like in chat there with a few tweaks, could make a few of these things work better. I think dealing with, again, it's a what do you put your resources into, but dealing with like hot proxies or like how to adapt to the situation is probably a big part of things.
Very cool. It's down.
And there we
Simulator.
go.
It ends.
There we go. Just as he started to build his spore forest.
Very necessary Smart
Yeah.
Forest.
Indeed. So yeah, this getting caught, a whole bunch of Lings. The initial, the Ling hesitancy here to kind of like try and end it, probably smart, but he could have probably ended it a lot earlier on some of those had he just taken out like all the stalkers remaining.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't until here that you really get the full commitment.
The no commitment out of the stalkers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I had a little bit of hope maybe with Blink.
Yeah.
You never know. You win a really good fights, and if Aerys is short on Larva, and you can't replenish quickly. But yeah, congratulations, Aerys.
Congratulations,
Five-time champion.
Aerys. Recrowned, actually. It's recrowned because Aerys has been vacant. The spot has been vacant for a few seasons now. Aerys was in deep slumber, allowing other bots to just meander around its crown a bit, you know, touch it, hold it, wear it. But then Aerys is like, nah, I'll take that. You don't even go here. And the champion once again. Xena, though, putting up quite the fight in the fight you would expect someone going up against Aerys, right? There is Aerys is a beast for every bot and any bot, and as the author mentioned in the chat, he had focused on Micro Machine. Maybe he didn't think he was gonna make it up to Aerys. Who knows? Maybe it was a surprise for him as well. But you know, good showing. Soup Catcher and Bread Lobber. Team Xena for bringing it so far to second place, but the prize goes to Team Aerys and, well, Aerys. You know, one day we will have that animation where it's just like, you know, a crusher. Someday, one day we will have a crusher for it. But yeah, absolutely. So that's season 2. And we have one more season for the year. And one of the things I wanted to mention about our finals for next season is that we'll have live humans versus ProBots. So we haven't done that in many, many years.
Yeah, not since like Meltdown.
Yeah, we haven't done it for many, many years. But as you can tell, obviously, when we have these humans versus bots program, they're from replay. But we'll have it done live in the next season finals. So yeah, absolutely exciting. So gentlemen, just in a quick look back of where we've been, what was your favorite out of all the matches? Like, even including the group stages, what was your favorite match? Not including the finals, of course.
I think maybe BenBot Xena was a really good one. I think that was like we got to see them both at a pretty high level going.
Rock?
Huh. I don't have one, but the thing that's popping in my head right now, though, is just the SharkBot versus human that we saw today.
Yeah,
I know it's not your
that's
question,
what I was gonna say. I was gonna cheat and say that too, so I'll let it. I'll go. That was
maybe because it's fresh.
Yeah. I was gonna cheat and say that was my favorite too, because that was really good. We really got to see SharkBot, and SharkBot can be such a wild card because you never know if you're gonna see the full SharkBot or you're gonna see like a mixed bag of mothership plus extra, roaming around, plus everything under the sun, and if it will work. And this time, I know it worked. Like we didn't see mothership, but we saw all the units and everything possible mixed into a bowl, and it came out victorious. And I loved it. It was beautiful. So that was definitely my favorite. And you guys there in the chat, let us know which one was your favorite. Always love to hear. Zozo being able to beat Aerys, that was a good one. That was unexpected. Yeah. So that's what made it really good. But absolutely. And very much shout outs to all the people, all you bot authors who've made this possible. You worked really hard this season to put together a really fantastic show. I don't know if there are obviously authors here in the audience. You can tell, and how much work it takes to, Ketrock here, he can attest to how much work it takes to do what these bot authors have done. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. It's a lot of, even when we were dissecting Ketrock's bot yesterday, the amount of things that can go wrong with just searching for targets, it's out there, right? There's a lot of things that you can think make sound logic, make sense on paper, and then when you go out there in the real world, it just falls apart. So obviously we cannot be able to convey to you that difficulty, but either which way, we need to give these bot authors a round of applause. Every bot author, all 16, because they also came from a ladder, which means they had to beat a whole pool of other bots before they got here to ProBots. So all bot authors have put in a tremendous amount of effort to even get to this stage, and we had to give that kudos. And then obviously kudos to you guys casters for being here and slogging through the best and the worst of some of the games. You know, there's an incredible amount of energy that's required to make it through the umpteenth Zergling Rush 12 pool or whatever have you. So kudos to the casters. And then kudos to the production. I don't know if you guys have noticed, this season has been graphically
great.
Yeah, this graphically different than the other seasons, graphically better. I believe better than the other seasons. We a lot of our graphical productions have held up. A little bit tweaks here and there, but for the most part they were able to hold. And hopefully for you guys and gals at home, you enjoyed what we put on, and it was a fantastic looking show, enjoyable show. You had a good time. And then, of course, thank you to the audience here, you guys who have stuck through it, hitting that like button every time I asked you. I know you're tired of me reminding you. I'm tired of reminding you, but my YouTube algorithm masters, who you cannot see off camera, who poke me every time, you know, every time that a view is not caught, you know, someone clicks away, they're like, hey, you there, make sure you get back to work, make more content. Yeah. So you know, I have to do it. That's just the world of the YouTube. So thank you though out there for all of you who've been liking, subscribing, and sharing it with all your friends and families and people who have bought. And oh, you know what, I just found out Cognite from watching ProBots made a bot, and it's like, you know, top of the micro ladder. Nice. So if Cognite can do it, you can do it. Not like
what's that saying about Cognite? This fucking idiot. Like, what do you
I was like, oh wait, let me qualify that before.
Cognite seems pretty bright.
I don't want, let me qualify that before it runs off of hand and then I get like blamed. I mean, you know, he watched ProBots. Everyone is, if you've been watching ProBots for a few seasons, you've seen Cognite play the human versus ProBots, and you know, gone there, made a bot. Now it's top of the ladder. So if you want, there is a template in the description below, easy bake bot template. Can't remember if I have like an exclamation mark for that or not. Either which way, it's in the description. Get started in a bot. Super fun, great hobby. Tell them, Ketrock, tell them how much of a great hobby it is, or profession.
There you go. Speaks for itself.
Ketrock's like, I cannot tell a lie. Either which way, you'll get something out of it. Who knows what it is though. Oh, and then last part, exclamation mark join, and consider becoming a member. If you become a member, we have post bots at the end of the month, and then every Monday we do group programming. And I'm hoping now that ProBots is done, I can work on some other, maybe some guest speakers and stuff for the members to check out upcoming. We'll see. Other than that, gentlemen, any final thoughts before we close up this show?
Good season. I mean, I think we had a lot of unexpected things this season that we haven't always had in the past, and that's always good for the scene. And I think whenever we get that reset where it's like we go from the deep macro to some of the cheesier early stuff working, it's again just that chump check against a lot of people. And you know, it gets people scrambling to redesign things and make sure that they're still covered.
Yeah. Ketrock?
Yeah, just looking forward to next season. Try to get some work done on my bot. Maybe I'll do it like you and just set aside an hour each week or something to start working on some features or something.
I was surprised actually, even just an hour each week and just like doing the group programming just a little bit. Actually, I was looking at some of the VODs. It's interesting to see how much progress is just made just a little bit each week. So
yeah. So when I get that cool drop play thing going, if I can get it going. And watching Aerys play, I always a whole bunch of ideas are like swirling through my head of like, I wonder if this would work against Aerys. So maybe I'll start implementing some of those things.
Like, oh, that would be so good, but then I have to code it. Never mind.
Yeah. That's kind of what happens. My bot's it's a mess, and building new things inside of it's not easy.
You're like, you know what? I'd rather watch Terminator Zero instead.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's a good idea too. All right.
Good idea. All right, so before Ketrock runs off and go watch Terminator Zero, everybody, thank you so much for a fantastic season. ProBots honestly cannot exist without you, literally and figuratively, because there's no big bot like big AI powering ProBots. It's just human powers, human know-how, gumption, and wallets. So without it, we wouldn't be here without you. So love you all, and we'll see you in 2024 season 3. Yeah, we'll see you next season. All right. Oh, and thanks, Ben Yoshi. I forgot I should mention you. You were good too. All right, guys. Bye.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Bye.